was hoping to maybe hear from them to understand what exactly I'm attacking, because it kind of depends on their positions. So I'll just kind of swing wide and say that Trump has been laying ground for the possibility of corruption by providing coverage for his political allies. I'll point to people like Roger Stone, him pardoning January 6 rioters, him pardoning George Santos. He's provided coverage for those who give him money. I'll point to his corruption with the meme coin. And I also want to point to that when he was asked why he was pardoning CZ, Trump simply said, "I heard it was a Biden witch hunt, but I don't know who that is." And it seems like there are likely a number of people who are feeding the president information to curry their favor. I can focus on specific key members of his administration as to who specifically I think that we should be targeting. I guess maybe that sounds like an extreme word, but I don't feel like it's an extreme word. But I will say that according to a Washington Post analysis, Trump officials have allegedly defied court oversight in roughly 35% of more than 160 lawsuits. It would be bad for the country to provide an incentive for people like this to run it, I guess, is my position.
Wait, hold on. Are you on our side? Who's on whose side here?
Yeah, I'm on your side. I think. I really want to hear what Connor and Prime have to say, because it really depends on. But
wait, do we have sides in this debate? Is this like a 2-on-2, or is it just like four of us are just kind of giving our opinions, or what?
No, it's a 2-on-2.
I think I'm on Steven's side.
Yeah, Stack Tim's Destiny.
Did I sound like I was not on your side? Do you disagree with anything I said?
Okay, that's fine. We got it. Okay, we're good. Wait, there's Stack Tim's. Calm down with the questions. The last time you asked someone a question, bad things happened. We don't want that to happen here, okay?
Jesus
Christ, chill. But also, I asked the question, so it was all good.
Wait, I think there's like three different. I don't know if they're specifically saying crimes haven't been committed. I don't know if it's specifically that like they're saying it would be bad for the country to charge them, or if they're saying Nuremberg style is too far. So I kind of wanted to hear which of those three sides. I'm against all three of them, but I wanted to specifically hear which of those three sides they're on.
Okay. We're going to get to it. Don't worry. Counterpoints. Go ahead. Why don't you educate the man?
Yeah, thank you. So I side with the intellectual P.F. Young in that Trump is a symptom, not the disease. He's a symptom of several factors that are out of control. I would say wealth inequality, rapid demographic change, existential technological shifts, and the dissolution of the social fabric are the things that are pushing people towards radicalism. And so, once again, Trump is the symptom, not the disease. So unless we start addressing those things, we're screwed, because we're just going to have another Trump in another 4 years or another 8 years or another 10 years or 12 years. When it comes to Nuremberg, Nuremberg is obviously reminiscent, or actually, I think, directly referencing the Nazi trials. Now, people have heard me. I've complained endlessly about the hundreds of thousands of people who have been killed by Trump's incompetence through the cuts of USAID and PEPFAR. I still would not assign the level of, while hundreds of thousands of people, potentially millions, will die as a result of Trump's incompetence, I don't think it rises to the threshold of intentional industrial style genocide. And so I feel like, I hope that's hyperbole. Also, I think that we should differentiate could versus should, because we should do a lot of things. Like Destiny should just send me $100,000 via PayPal right now, but that's not going to happen, right? So could that happen? Sure. But what's actually going to happen is the Republicans are not going to want to impeach him. He's probably going to pre-pardon his entire administration and pre-pardon himself. And then the only thing that you could probably do is a January 6th style commission that I would actually be in favor of. But no, I don't think we're going to be able to hang these people. I don't think we're going to be able to criminally convict them. I don't think that dragging it out for 2 years is a good idea. So that's what I'm here to fight on.
Okay, well, thank you for being here. We'll get into it as we go. Let's give it to Prime next. Go ahead, Prime Kai.
I'm in Stack CM's position. In that.
Oh shit.
In that I'm leaning no. All right, so I'm on Counterpoint's side. All right, for Stephen's benefit. But I'd like to hear the other side to understand their arguments, their positions. Oh, and also, just before that, I want to thank Wick for being so kind as to invite me. Glad to be here. And Prime and Destiny reunited after like 2 years. It feels so good. But anyway, thanks so much.
Oh, okay. I guess we'll go to Destiny then.
There needs to be big memes. I think that there are 2 parts to it, 3 parts maybe. The first part is the insurrection for every single person involved in this administration, mainly for the point that none of the people that are supporting Trump now in office should be allowed to run for office ever again in the United States of America. That's the first thing. The easy way to do this also is if Trump starts pardoning everybody, well, if he's pardoning people, pardon is an admission of guilt, charge them with insurrection. You can charge them, consider them pardoned, and now they've qualified for being charged, convicted, and they've been pardoned of the crime. Doesn't matter. The pardon doesn't get rid of the part of the 14th Amendment that would say you can't hold an office again, so fuck them. So that's number 1 and 2, okay? Number 3, the smallest criminal thing, investigate every single person was part of this administration and get as much out into the open as possible. I think the important thing about stuff like Nuremberg, the important thing about these big public trials is there needs to be a public accounting of everything that's happened. And for whatever causes lead into people wanting to vote for Trump, they are absolutely fed into by the misinformation, by the historical everything that's happened. And we need to be able to have an honest account of what's happened historically. Right now, half the country doesn't believe that Trump lost the 2020 election. Like, we can't go forward in an environment like that, and simply changing leadership in the conservative party is not going to undo all of the incorrect things that Republicans believe have happened. Trump was not a mistake. Like, Trump was a natural consequence of Republican demagoguery and Republican rhetoric and Republican strategy for the past 3 decades. It's no surprise we wound up here, and to act like it would be to ignore the fact that Trump 2 could come, right around the corner.
Okay. And does that educate everyone on everyone's position, or is everyone clear now? Can we move forward, or do we need further edification?
I mean, we'll get it as we continue. I'll ask a question if I can, please. Right. So, Stephen, hello, hi. The last part of what you said talked about revealing the truth, right? Like correcting the record. And I'm certainly not against that, but like it seems like you're specifically trying to correct the record for the Trump cult. Do you believe that public trials will actually do that?
Yeah, I think if the information is out there, I think it becomes much harder to ignore what's actually happened. Yeah, I think it helps.
Information's out there now, right? It's been out
not
there.
like in an easily accessible way. It's like buried behind PDFs and buried behind commissions and buried behind stuff that, 1, it didn't get the full public attention that it deserves, and then 2, the people who denied all of that information were rewarded by still being able to run for office and hold office. I think that if you do this mass like insurrection charge or whatever you have to do to get all these people to never be allowed to run for again, then there will be, going forward, probably more of an incentive to be like, well, fuck, maybe we shouldn't just lie blatantly about everything that's happening, because there are going to be political consequences for us down the road.
I can agree with the last part, but I disagree with the first part. The information is absolutely out there. Like that did Trump's was the 2020 election stolen? No, right? Documentaries galore, videos out there, right? Like news segments about all of that exists, right? Articles, digital ink spilled. Yet it persists. So I don't. I disagree, at least for now. I can be convinced otherwise. But I disagree that simply having some grand trial where the heroes of MAGA are put before a tribunal where they can be, where Fox News can position them as heroes against the resurgent democratic regime, right? I disagree that will necessarily lead to a brand new age of truth for the MAGA cult. No.
Are you against criminal prosecution writ large?
Absolutely not. Oh, absolutely not. I can assure you I'm not.
Okay, what if we find like a number of Trump officials criminally liable?
No, Stacks.
And like
the thing that I'm pushing back against right now is simply that the claim that he's saying this will edify the MAGA cult. I don't think that will. I'm not sure anything can actually do that.
I think that if the Mar-a-Lago case would have gone through, I think that would have been very damaging to him, and it would have been much harder to deny everything that happened there. But a lot of people just don't even know the details of it because that court case never happened. I think it would have been good for that to happen.
Okay, sorry, I just have to mute myself in 2 locations, but I do want to jump in. So can we separate out like probability versus should real quick? So probability, if we had to put it on a probabilistic scale of like 0 to 100, what Staxiums and Destiny, what do you think the probabilistic scale is that this, like, there's even the political will for this?
Oh, probably quite low, I would say, fortunately.
Yeah, no, I would tend to agree.
Okay, so what we're really talking about is like moral should. We're just this is an ideal. Well, ideally, I would fire Trump from a trebuchet into the Atlantic Ocean. Okay, that ideally that's what I would do. You're not going to find anybody sweeping for the Trump admin on this side of the aisle. I think what we're talking about is now that we've eliminated that as I am not legally permitted or morally permitted to fire Trump out of a trebuchet into the Atlantic Ocean. Now we can kind of move into like what's politically pragmatic about the situation. And when you appeal to pragmatism, I actually don't think that the Nuremberg style trials would be helpful at all. I think you would be creating a cult of personality. I think you'd be creating a persecution complex, especially without criminal convictions, especially without the mass insurgency thing. You can do the January 6th style committee where you document all of the alleged crimes and probable crimes of the Trump administration, but without convictions and without prohibitions from office. I think this is a waste of political capital. And I think that what's going on, like I said, is that there are 4 sociological variables that are contributing to people being radicalized. And if we don't address those, and if we don't spend political capital on those, we're fucked.
Well, I would say that one, these for the Mar-a-Lago thing, for instance, that would be a trial. Like, I'm sure there are chargeable offenses here that we can literally have a trial and have people locked up for. Number one. And number two, I think I would argue that one of the big things that is a sociological variable playing into the decision-making of these people on the right is that there really is no punishment for acting the most unhinged way possible. They're still allowed to hold office. They're allowed to lie with impunity. There's no punishment. Like, going forward, if there's not a reckoning, you would be an idiot as a conservative to not act in the same manner because you've constantly been rewarded for it.
I don't agree with that, actually. So I think that what's happened, at least this is my view on it, the Trump cult has painted itself into a corner where they've put all of their hopes and energy and political capital into a single man, a very flawed man, someone who at minimum within the next 6 months is going to be probably exposed as either covering for an ephebophilic sex trafficking ring or participated in an ephebophilic sex trafficking ring. Those are like covered for is the best case scenario. Steve Bannon was communicating with Mr. Jeffrey Epstein as recently as 2017. Like, I think there might even be some text messages from 2019. And, Steve Bannon was Trump's campaign manager. So the whole point about this is like, he's about to take a huge black eye. In the midterms, the Republicans are probably going to get shellacked. And then when he's gone, there's nobody who commands the same level of Trump cult of personality. And I think JD Vance has been tapped on the shoulder as the next like MAGA prince. But I think that JD Vance is an infinitely more pragmatic person than Trump ever was.
I don't disagree with you, but it doesn't change anything I'm saying. Like, if you're JD Vance, or if you're anybody in the next part of the Republican establishment, whatever comes after MAGA, if you see that the last part of the establishment got completely screwed by acting in just a blatantly illegal manner, then you have less incentive to do so. But if you see they got away with so much stuff, then that's all going to be in your playbook. Like, okay, well, what rules can I break or bend?
But I don't think he has the riz. I don't think he has the riz to get away with it.
Vance doesn't, but Trump did. Nobody knew that Trump was even coming. Who's to say there's not going to be somebody like Trump in the future?
I mean, the argument right there is whether or not the dissident right wing or the Christian nationalists are going to produce a Trump-like figure who's charismatic to win in mainstream politics. I mean, that's what Nick Fuentes is hoping on, actually.
Sure, but if somebody produces that figure, they're more likely to, ascend to the throne and operate in an unhinged manner if they feel like there's no punishment for doing so.
Well, I agree, but then, okay, so right now, let's talk about it from a process of function, okay? So we have a process of function where effectively what you're saying is we could still do, if they did mass pardons of the Trump admin, what would you charge Marco Rubio for as the person who was running the Department of State under Trump too?
I think if they historically, a pardon has been seen as an admission of guilt. It's part of it. So if they are pre-pardoned, then I would just formally just charge them all with insurrection and then say that they're pardoned from it. And then at the very least, that bars all of them from running for any public office.
But what's your evidence? Because as far as I know, Marco Rubio wasn't involved in the fake elector scheme or January 6, 2021 So what is your evidence that Marco Rubio participated in insurrection?
He participates in the current administration, and he's more or less a supporter. He's a cabinet member.
The current administration is duly elected.
How far does that go down? So we obviously
to every single elected person in the Republican Party right now, except for the never Trumpers. Every single person in the Republican Party right now, except for like the never Trumpers. So like your Massey's, I guess, maybe your
that's obviously political suicide, wasting political capital. It's effectively a meme position. It's not even a real position.
Okay, so
I thought the meme position was where we pretended that the 2020 election didn't happen, and then we doubled down on every single thing we believe, but then we still managed to win in 2025. I thought that was the meme position, but
Are you saying even like state senators, like not even national positions?
yep.
Yeah, so
So,
disbarring half of
city
the
council.
political process is not an option.
Yep.
wait a minute. So city council, right? You would
Fuck 'em.
say
If they're Trump
all
votes,
of
hell
them.
yeah.
Well,
Let 'em
city
get 'em out of
council
there.
people very rarely position themselves in party.
I mean, no, people run. Anyone who runs. He's saying anyone who runs on the R ticket, right?
Yeah, but city
Except for
council members
quote-unquote
usually don't
never-Trumpers.
have our tickets.
I understand that. I'm saying, but the point is, he's saying everyone, right? So mayors, right?
Okay.
Whatever.
Anybody that
mayors,
supported Trump,
anyone-
if they weren't actively calling out the Trump admin, if they were ever playing into it or whatever, then they're part of it.
Good luck with that, Stacks.
So I'm gonna let Prime talk, but I know why I would feel that way. Why the fuck do you feel that way?
What do you mean? Because I think that all of these people have contributed to an authoritarian regime that is the most anti-American regime in U.S. history that has almost brought our country to the edge of destruction.
Okay, but at the same time, we have, when it comes to like the deportations of Andre Hernandez Romero or Kilmar Abrego Garcia, ultimately the courts were still able to reel them in. When it comes to January 6, 2021, and by the way, I'm not defending Trump. I think we should fire him from a trebuchet into the Atlantic Ocean. But when you're talking about this process, Marco Rubio, to my knowledge, did not participate in January 6, 2021. And what he's guilty of is overseeing the decommission of USAID and PEPFAR, which is going to lead to approximately between 3 million and 14 million preventable deaths worldwide. That's like a man-made Holocaust through incompetence. But I can't think of I don't know how you would charge him with insurrection for participating in the Trump admin related to being a dickhead. Like that, these things are not
He aided
connected.
and abetted the enemies of the state by being a cabinet member for Trump and doing his bidding.
But then now you're just playing into now this is just the tit for tat bullshit. We're effectively like, what is it? Today, the Democrats did a 1-minute video, which I approve of, by the way, saying, hey, military service members, hey, members of the intelligence community, you are sworn to an oath of the Constitution of the United States, and you have to remember your oath, and you should not follow illegal orders. Donald Trump, as Wick mentioned, said, these people are guilty of sedition, and the punishment of sedition is death. Okay, so all you're doing is you're just playing into, in my opinion, this this hysteria that every single political fight is existential.
Well, except it is on that side. They're the ones that are saying that everything is existential while they're being existential. That's part of their existential fight, is by saying that everything is existential.
You're making it existential by saying that if you had the power, then you would disbar them from politics and wielding power altogether.
Yeah, but I think I have a good reason for that. They don't have a good reason to say we should execute sitting senators and congressmen.
So,
sorry, Brian, go ahead, but I got plenty.
I'm sure he's given us plenty, right? But I got one question for each of our friends here. One to Stacks. I just want to pull you. I want to hear your beautiful voice
for sure.
How much of this do you agree with? I mean,
so
to be clear,
sure.
Just let me ask the question, right? Yeah, to be clear,
for sure.
what Stephen has said is that everyone who has supported Trump, right? I'm assuming he means everyone in office, but I'm not entirely clear on that either.
I think he said in office.
Okay, well, everyone in office.
Wait,
right?
what would that other?
Like
what
anyone
else
who
could it
voted
be?
for him, would we
Yeah,
are people who voted?
Yeah, but if you voted for them, that's also support,
The
right?
200
Support
million
for-
people. I assume Stephen doesn't think those. People.
You can just ask him who's here.
We shouldn't assume logic from
Yeah,
him.
you wouldn't. It wouldn't be every single person that voted for him, because they're also
Okay,
for the
good.
insurrection thing. You have to be a prior oath taker, so you'd have to have held public office, and we can't access people's votes.
Okay.
So.
I'm not taking Stephen's literally. I'm taking him seriously. Okay.
Yeah.
Take me literally and seriously. I can be taking both. I'm not Trump. I don't need a translator or to speak like a retard. So.
Okay. So Staxium, right? Do you agree? with
My
this?
implication
That,
of being that Trump speaks like a retard. I wasn't attacking anybody on the panel. That was my thing.
No, that's fine. No worries.
Yes, that's
your question.
Agree
sorry,
with...
go for it. Yeah. So no, sorry, I was waiting for him to finish his question. So the first thing that I'm going to point out is I felt like Connor was attacking this idea that like just because it was Nuremberg, like we're calling it the Nuremberg trials, that doesn't necessarily mean that we're like making that equivalent to what the Nazis did. Like obviously what this administration doing is not as bad as the Holocaust, but I definitely, that's why I definitely wanted to hear where people's opinions were, because this is actually, I might even say more extreme than the Nuremberg trials, because weirdly enough, the Nuremberg trials, people were found innocent. Like I think like a quarter of them, maybe a fifth of them, were found innocent, even like high-ranking officials. And I'm genuinely curious, Stephen, like what do you feel like the Nuremberg trials didn't go far enough? Like if you were an official, you should have just been sent off to
The important part, I think, about the Nuremberg trials was exposing everything that happened under the Nazi regime, right? I
Okay,
think
great.
That was the important takeaway.
I'm for that, but I disagree with your with how specific, like the fact that any law official, any government official, including like state senators who just voted R and weren't critical of Trump. No, I don't agree with that. Prime, does that answer your question?
Yeah, I appreciate that.
That feels
and
extreme.
then- Fair enough. All right.
But I'm
so-
certainly for an extreme sense of justice and subpoenaing, and is that the verb? Subpoenaing?
Subpoenas.
Subpoenas.
I
Thank
think
you.
subpoenas out. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, regardless, I'm for chucking the book at virtually every Trump official in his administration.
I think it's only now you have to send the subpoena. Okay, but to Stephen, you said specifically you had a carve out there, said except for never Trumpers. How do we determine a person's a never Trumper?
All the people that took at great risk to their own career positions against Trump. So Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger, Massey, maybe Rand Paul. Maybe, yeah.
Sure. Hold on. Yeah. But I hear you on those, right? That's fair. But since we're talking about all elected Republicans, could you tell me the never Trumpers that have run in Orlando, Florida?
Nope.
No, you can't. Okay. All right. So how do we, so above the top line, right? Above below the federal line, how do we determine these individuals? Because all of them may not have been very public, but maybe they didn't, they had private thoughts. They said something to their friends, is that enough? I disagreed with Trump.
You would consult the record. They're public officials, so they should have public statements. That would be pretty exceptional for them to have no public statements as public officials.
But Thomas Massey voted with the Republicans 91% of the time. Like he's still in lockstep as far as Trump's agenda goes when it comes to securing the border, when it comes to the big, beautiful bill, when it comes to this, when it comes to that. I mean, he might have fought it at some point, but once again, 91% voting record that aligns with Trump over the past decade.
To that point,
okay, you can get rid of
just
them
to
too,
throw,
if you want, sure.
To throw something. What about Fetterman as well? Would he be liable for this?
Yeah, because he's like normalized. Like,
I mean, I definitely think fuck that guy, but like, I don't know if he's liable.
This is psycho shit. This is my party should rule indefinitely without challenge, and I think it's crazy. I think it has no rooting in reality.
This is why I'm trying to get. That's why I'm asking about details here, right? To like really nail down what the hell we're talking about. Okay, so you're saying they have to have made public statements. Okay, if they were elected within, was it 2027 is the last year of his reign, right? So if they're elected in 2027, a Republican, right? Do they count, right? Are they up for these trials as well?
If they ran under a Trump ticket, sure. If they were like supportive of Trump, yeah.
Yeah, but hold on, that's not exactly honest, because Fetterman has been also very against Trump. Like he's made a lot of public statements, like rejecting Trump. But you also said that Fetterman should go too. So it's. I'm curious.
A lot of statements. I don't know. I guess you could find some particular issue. Whatever the particular thing is, if you want to concede the argument that you agree that we should do this, and now you just want to argue over the specifics of like who should be included, that's fine. For 90% of elected people, it's going to be plainly obvious. How you would determine
I don't
we could leave it up to a court to decide.
This.
We could leave it up to a court to decide, or we could leave it up to a commission to decide, or whatever. But like, I mean, I'm not going to say like, oh, actually, I'm going to change my mind on this entire idea because there's going to be some edge cases that are difficult to decide.
Yeah,
no.
I do not concede that 55% of the Republican Party should be barred from voting indefinitely. I don't concede that. I think that's
voting.
Yeah,
I'm not saying. Well, who said voting? I just said holding office again.
Okay, 55%. 55% of the Republican Party voted in order to elect Trump as a first choice during the primary. Let's just say that correlates up to the Republican Party, where 55% of the representatives support Trump wholeheartedly as a first choice. I think that separating those people from politics is fucking insane.
Yeah, so I think it matters here, right? So that like if let's pretend I'm a Republican, right? Let's pretend I'm in office, right? If you're saying there's a way out here, well, I care about that way out. Oh, I'm a never Trumper too. I mean, I was always a never Trumper. Didn't you hear me say? Right? Like, maybe on some website somewhere, I said something critical about Trump. Doesn't that
On some
count?
websites, somewhere, these are public officials. They make public statements. They have public offices. They put out public press releases. These are not random individual private citizens. Definitionally,
This is already so
officials.
absurd that we could just go ahead and concede like a hypothetical in which we were able to perfectly discern every single never Trumper versus every single Republican. It's still a stupid fucking idea. It's still a wildly stupid idea.
We'll do that. Let's do
Okay.
that.
I have a question. When you
Sure.
and this is for Destiny, if this is the public position that you're advocating for, what incentive does any Republican or anyone who's ever held office under Trump have to ever denounce Trump? Does this not just make them more incentivized to always support Trump? Because if they don't and Trump loses and the Democrats win, then they know that they're never going to have power again. So why would they ever?
Yeah, he's become the boogeyman that the Republicans pretend he is.
Yeah, no, that this whole thing of like become the boogeyman is like raping someone over and over again, saying this person is physically abusive, this person is, and then the 12th time you rape them, they punch you and they go, look at that, you've become the violent person I said you always were. I'm sorry, that's fucking retarded. Also, I don't know why you're speaking hypothetically, Wick. Do people have to support Donald Trump? Otherwise, if they don't, they feel like they're going to be held criminally liable for things. That's literally the entire story of the entire Republican Trump administration. How many people in pardon that have committed crimes either directly on his behalf or on behalf of his administration or just other crimes and then ended up supporting him? Like the Republicans already have this thought process and it needs to be exterminated. The thought process, not the people.
Wait, hold on. This is such, okay. The reason why this is such bullshit is because I feel like you just either don't understand or don't want to understand the MAGA narrative and why it's appealing to Americans. The whole narrative is that since World War II, we have had a runaway federal government that has grown and grown and grown and grown outside of the Constitution. The Republicans have been playing footsie with the Democrats forever. And as a result, we now have a wrecking ball. So regardless of whether or not you think Trump is a good person or a bad person, things like cutting PEPFAR and USAID, that's good on a principled stance because billions of dollars shouldn't be going overseas to help people who aren't American. Slashing the DOE, deconstructing the Department of Education. Well, the federal government, realistically, we're 50, relatively speaking, sovereign states who should be deciding our own local affairs. Well, that's a good thing because the DOE, since it's gutted, it's now giving local control to education. You can say that those stories are bullshit. You can say it's nepotism. You can say it's cronyism. You can say all the corrupt things, and I'm probably going to agree with you 7 out of 10 times. But that doesn't mean that people with Americans, especially with the First Amendment, with freedom of speech and freedom of conscience, that doesn't mean that that opinion or behavior should be made illegal. That's fucking insane. That's insane. You yourself are advocating for a position that's contradictory to the Republic of the United States. It makes no fucking sense.
Literally not. We literally have an amendment that literally bars people from committing insurrection and holding public office again. So I think my
okay. How has Marco Rubio committed insurrection?
By supporting an insurrectionist.
That's not insurrection.
It definitionally is. Read the text of the Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. Aiding and abetting. It's part of an insurrection. Yeah. There's no difference between
but he hasn't aided and abetted a person
aiding...
actively participating in an insurrection. Trump hasn't been convicted of insurrection.
You don't have to be convicted for the amendment, but we
can.
And by the way,
I'm granting you that there's some world in which this can even be possible. I don't even grant this.
Let Destiny, hold on. Let Destiny finish his point, and then you can respond.
If he's pardoned, if he's pre-pardoned, then he's guilty. Then you just say, charge him with it, have him be pardoned, nothing happens, then you bar him from running for office again.
Oh, okay. So Hunter, right now, because you're being consistent, you're just going to go ahead and accept the fact that Hunter is guilty of FARA violations, tax violations, money laundering, and corruption on behalf of the Biden family, right?
Sure. Hunter Biden can never run for public office again. I'll be consistent on that.
Okay, that wasn't even the question. But the whole point is that I know that's bullshit because we've thought about this in the past. All you're doing is you're making a concession because the concession doesn't matter anymore. So what's actually going on here is you're saying that we should bar probably 1/6 of the country from participating in politics once again. And I think that's fucking insane.
Elected officials. No, wait. You keep saying 1/6. I'm saying elected officials right now.
You're saying that elected officials should never have participated within like the cult of Trump or MAGA politics.
True. Yeah. 100%.
This feels just a little bit.
It's absurd,
and I think this is a little bit different from the place that we started at, because you were saying Nuremberg trials, but these don't sound like trials. Like these do sound like if you're part of the admin, you're guilty. but I don't know if that's a trial.
Well,
Like, what if the
they're going to
trial
pre-pardon?
occurs?
If they're pre-pardoning, then we can't have a trial. Now, if they don't pre-pardon, so
Sure.
then we can try them all for insurrection. Fuck it.
Sure. Okay. So what? Let's go.
Okay,
Just
yeah,
through a
actually, let's say
quick
that they don't
hypothetical.
pre-pardon him. What's your evidence that they're engaged in insurrection?
I don't know. We'd have to figure out what the historical definition of insurrection is, and then I guess we would dig up all the evidence. We do our discovery, like a normal trial, and you find everything, and you'd go through other emails,
Okay,
you go through
let's
other
be
phone calls,
sane
you see if
for a
they were
second
knowingly
and
violating
acknowledge
the
that
law.
this case would fall flat on its fucking face.
Would it be politically popular? I'm not denying that, of course. It would be politically unpopular.
Okay,
yeah, for sure.
so you're so what you're saying is you're making a moral statement that, okay, 1/6 of political representatives, or actually it would be a quarter because these are elected people, 1/4 of elected representatives should be prohibited from participating in politics.
Yep.
Okay.
What if we do these trials? What if there's no pre-pardoning? Marco Rubio gets put on trial and he's found innocent. Like, I don't know if I understand even your hypothetical.
He beats his trial, but at least all the evidence would be out there. Okay.
Okay, sure. So then I don't know.
So-
Sure, yeah, I agree with
Here's a
that.
question for the opposite
But
side.
I don't agree
Let's
with
say
this.
that- wait. Okay, question for the other side. Let's say that there are no trials. Let's say that another Trump comes along. Why wouldn't you support him doing the exact same things he's done now, but worse?
Why hold on. Sorry. Why
wouldn't you support the next Trump doing the
him
same-
doing the next
No,
Sorry, go
not
ahead.
you. I'm not
Yeah,
asking
repeat
you.
it.
Elected politician comes about. There's the Trump 3 or whatever. The next Trump comes about. Why wouldn't you support him doing the exact same things that this Trump is doing, but even worse?
Not you.
Because
You
It's
in a general
you.
sense, you being MAGA or anyone.
Oh,
else.
okay.
Yeah.
So if I were MAGA, what is the disincentive from supporting Trump
Right.
3 if Trump 3 was legally possible?
Aren't we incentivizing people to take advantage of the law here without political consequences?
I probably wrapped my head around the fact that I think that Trump's going down because he's an ephebophilic sex cultist. I would have to say that we would need to reinforce, actually, I think the political capital after Trump should be spent on reinforcing the guardrails around authorization of uses around military force. It should be put to reinforcing the guardrails around executive orders. It should be put to trying to get Congress to be more of, like that Congresswoman said who just got installed, that it needs to be a co-equal branch of government. So I would actually want to reinforce all of the guardrails of the Republic.
Your check against the people who would support Trump, the next Trump, the people who are openly okay with breaking the law, would be to make more laws?
Yeah.
Okay.
And also in reference to breaking the law, we would have to get into the nitty-gritty of it. Because as an example, you said that Trump people have suffered no consequences. That's not true. All the January 6th insurrectionists were incarcerated. There were 1,500 people who had criminal charges.
And then they were pardoned.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with whether or not they suffered consequences. They still suffered consequences. If you want to put limits on the power of the pardon, then I'm all ears for a technocratic solution.
So,
But I guess my question is, if you're a Republican congressperson right now, why the fuck would you ever support guardrails against the pardoning power when, you could just be a George Santos? You know what I'm saying? You could just be breaking the law, and then Trump gets to pardon you. Why would you ever try to limit that authority?
Well, I mean, if you had principles, it's because you wouldn't want to see the Republic die, and that's
okay.
What we're
Great. That's okay. That's a benchmark the Republicans have not been able to clear.
I would say that Thomas Massey and MTG have actually
Okay,
stood on relatively strong
You've
political
got
ground. within the
maybe
past couple of
5
months.
you can point to. I agree with Massey. Okay, even though he's a fucking psycho, he's for sure a
he's a
never
psycho.
Trumper. MTG has the last 2 weeks out of her. I don't know how long she's been in power. 6 years. That seems too high. I don't know. MTG over the last 2 weeks has changed her tone. Okay, great.
Let's be clear real quick, because I don't want people to think I agree with that statement. MTG has not changed her tone. She's just following the political winds. Either she's become a neo-Trumper.
And
If she is, it's not because she's offended by the authoritarian moves that Trump has made. It's just because she sees the politics.
Yeah,
going
she's not
in a
part of the
different
team
direction.
anymore. She's scorned. Sure, but you can do the right thing for the wrong reasons, and I don't really give a shit. But now we've moved the argument from, well, we should
all you pointed to was
a
4
quarter
people.
of people from voting to we don't have idealistic candidates that could actually reinforce the guardrails of the Republic. These are totally separate arguments.
Well, to be clear, I didn't make that second argument. I don't know where that second weird argument comes from. Maybe Saxion does, but I didn't make that argument.
I think that spending political capital on reinforcing our republic would be infinitely better spent than trying to wipe out 25% of elected representatives.
Look, I have a
Funnily
question
enough, I
wanna-
find these
hold on.
equally feasible.
Yeah,
Like
I-
the fact that Republicans would play ball to put back up guardrails that they have disassembled over the last 10 years, it seems equally
Well,
viable
I'll tell you
than
what's
Steven's
not going to
solution.
help in that effort. What's not going to help in that effort is saying, oh, yeah, if we ever do get power, we're coming for that ass. We're going to make
No,
sure that
sorry,
you're
what's
convicted
not
of
gonna help in
crimes
that
that
effort
you're
was
not
Trump-
even
Wait,
guilty
you
of.
mean, you mean like what Trump has been saying over and over and over again?
Trump's a
What, he
fucking
was the
piece
one
of
to win the
shit.
election
Why,
doing it.
this
No,
is
no,
what
no,
about
he's an
ism.
elected position, though, but when
Argumentatively,
he
this is what about ism.
We're not arguing about no, it's not whataboutism. It's this happened. Okay, you're saying that you'll never win an election doing this. Didn't Trump win 2 elections? If you ask him, 3 elections doing this, wasn't his
Isn't
chance
that
in the
because
first election to
you
lock her
twats
up?
ran a senile 90-year-old person with his brain leaking out of his fucking ears who couldn't do a debate?
That ran against him in 2016 when he was saying lock her up, we're coming for lock her up.
Wait. What's the point that you're trying to make? If you're trying to make the point
You're
that like
telling me that
MAGA
if
is
you're
dumb as
acting-
fuck, yes.
You're saying that if you act vindictive and evil, no one's going to want to vote for you. Trump ran on vindictiveness.
How do you
all 3
explain the
times.
moderate winning in 2020 if everybody is like, so hungry for vindictiveness?
COVID probably had a lot to do with it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
COVID
would say
probably did
COVID.
have a lot to do with it.
Wait,
You
hold
know
on,
what had
hold
a
on.
lot to- hold on,
It
I'm
was
not
a
done yet. I'm not done yet. Thank you. You know what had a lot to do with 2024 Trump's win?
Your mom?
Democratic incompetence. Democrats seem uniquely capable of snatching defeat from the jaws of victory.
Why the fuck
Yeah,
are we talking about the
definitely not.
general when we should be talking about the primary? Trump won the Republican majority.
Trump won. He did. Okay. In the initial primary, 16-1, okay, like the original primary, in the original
No, I
primary,
was saying in 2020.
he won a plurality because all the moderates
Okay.
wouldn't fucking drop out.
No, Trump was the most popular candidate to emerge
By
from
the
primary.
end of the cycle. But I guarantee you
Yes.
that there was like probably 80% of the way through, 90% of the way through, he was still sitting at 37 or 39%. And
Yeah, but there's no
seriously, if all the
guarantee that if
moderates,
Cruz or
if
Rubio
they
drop
had
out-
done, if the Republicans did to Donald Trump what
Wait.
the Democrats did to Bernie Sanders, we wouldn't have this problem. But at the
No,
same time,
absolutely not.
they didn't, and we can't cry over
Oh, wait,
spilt milk.
hold on. You're making your argument for us because all you're pointing to is that you don't actually need broad political support in order to push a candidate through.
I have no idea what that has to do with anything I've said.
You owned him. Mogged.
Are you being sarcastic? I feel like
I
that's...
know. So hey, I want to ask.
I want to
you,
give it. I want to hold on. I have a question. That I want to give it to Prime. My question though is if Staxiums and Destiny, you both acknowledge that this would be politically unviable. Like there would be no political will for this. This would be very unpopular. It just wouldn't be an electoral winner. Why would you think that advocating for this publicly would make it more likely that you are going to win in the future if you've already acknowledged that this is politically cancerous of a position? Why the hell would you ever take this position publicly?
Because you got to fight for the things that you believe in to move the public in that direction, like our fucking God Emperor Gavin Newsom did with Prop 50. What a king!
Hell fucking yeah.
See, dude, this is
What drove
why I'm
Prop
taking
50
you
was
seriously,
Texas
but not literally.
and Republicans. But anyway, go
What
ahead.
was a
Prime.
response to Republican?
Yes, it was. Yes, exactly. It was response to Republican overreach, right?
And this is a
And so
response to Republican
when-
lawlessness.
Yeah,
when
for
the
sure.
Republicans point to things saying, "Oh, Democrats, public Democratic influencers want to bar all of their opposing, all Republicans from office," right? They're going to use that to justify people doing some pretty crazy shit on their side.
Like
And
what? Like the president of the United States coming out and saying some congressman should be executed? Like that kind of crazy shit?
Do you think it's gonna? Do you think it could? Do you think it can't get worse?
Yeah, but it
I
can
don't know
always
how
get worse.
often-
But I mean, like, hold on, it can always get worse. That's the reason why you take dramatic corrective action right now.
If we're not able to
Sorry.
impeach Donald Trump based off of what he's saying right now, what makes you think like, okay, so you made the point that you're arguing to move people more in your direction. Okay. What I'm saying is not only are you wasting your political capital now, and you're probably making discourse worse now, but the jumping over the bar would be trying to impeach Donald Trump now, and we're nowhere fucking near that. We're not even close. So I don't even know what the
We
fuck
can't
you're
impeach
doing.
him now, but my strategy would have all those current Republicans that are unwilling to impeach him. They wouldn't even be in office in the future. So
Go ahead, Prime.
Yeah.
Zinga.
I keep trying to wrap around my head around this fact that effectively you're not trying to eliminate the voter base, if I heard you correct. You're not necessarily trying to eliminate the Republican Party. You're trying to, through effectively, in my opinion, trumping up charges of insurrection for anybody supportive of the Trump administration. You're trying to disallow 25% of the representatives of the United States from office.
Based.
Okay.
So, okay. One, what about first-term Trump supporters? Right? It's 2016.
Oh, they changed
Trump.
their mind? Oh, then they're good now. They changed their mind between Trump 1 and 2.
Okay.
Well,
So now
Whoa.
now we changed their minds. Okay, great. I'm glad we have that. I mean, I
What
guess
if
that's
what if they
something,
change their mind in
right?
2028?
2027? Yeah.
No.
No.
It's
Okay.
just too late. Okay,
When's the cutoff
Absolutely.
date? Right? Was it? And I'm honestly asking this.
Cutoff date?
Hey, is it
Cutoff date was January 20th when Biden came into office.
when Biden came into office?
It was January
All right.
7th, 2021 or 2021.
Okay, right.
The
So
day
I
after,
guess
you have to look at your hands and see the blood on them.
So I have okay. I have a problem with what Destiny is proposing, right? And I'm guessing there's a lot of room for agreement for whatever Staxium is proposing.
Yeah, I mean,
okay?
look,
So,
I
hold on,
don't.
1 second.
Go for it, sorry.
No worries. So my issue with what Steven is saying is that there's no exit ramp, right? Like, this sounds to me like purging the Ba'athist Party, right? And there won't be any repercussions from that, right? We'll just get rid of them. But these people don't go away, right? And in fact, them and their supporters are well armed. One second. So what we're saying is that we're going to take a maximalist position, not just against the ringleaders, which I can agree with. Like, I believe that I imagine that Staxium's position, right? Hey, let's have an accountability for the people who are in charge, right? But everyone down the rung, right, in terms of elected office, right? But yes, you aren't talking about arresting Republican voters, true, right? But Republican voters are going to take it as a defense, as this is everything that they've always feared, right? That the Democrats are finally coming for them, and now we have to take action, right? That is like the clearest clarion call for violence I've ever seen.
Okay,
Awesome.
Then we go to that stage if that's what they want. If that's how they feel.
Okay.
Dude, that's
What-
so fucking dumb. Like
There you go.
9.9 times out of 10, liberals would lose a civil war. That's like the fucking stupidest shit I've ever heard.
Okay, what?
Seriously? Okay, so a quarter of the population gets disbarred because we're still in the political or a quarter of the representatives get disbarred. They use that as a clarion call in order to rally the troops, saying, left-wing authoritarianism has finally come to America. Obama is, in the Jade Helm bunker about to launch nukes and 5G internet and all that bullshit. They get hundreds of thousands of motherfuckers to walk on Congress, and then boom, we're in an actual shooting civil war. You think liberals win that? What the fuck are we talking about?
We have all like the gang committing people with the pistols, and aren't Republicans like fat?
They're not very accurate.
Anyway,
they're not particularly good shooters. Sorry to the blacks.
Well, excuse me. All of our trans Tifa, trans furry people seem to be quite adept shooters.
But they're only like 0.6% of the population. So what? You're gonna have trans Tifa snipers and black gangbanger berserkers?
I'll still do
go
right?
for it.
I just and I apologize because I keep interrupting you, but
You're chilling.
Destiny, my problem is there is no path within your framework that you're presenting for reintegration, because that's how you actually heal a divided society, right?
We thought that after Reconstruction, and I think it was a mistake. The idea that we need to massively, Germany didn't do that, and I think they've had a much better run with their Nazi issue than we've had with our, racial xenophobic issue. I think there is a reason why you need to have an accurate accounting process for what's happened, and the idea that everybody's allowed to come back scot-free. There's a reason why you don't run any type of disciplinary action or program like this.
I'm not disagreeing with an accounting process, right? That actually should happen. If that's what you're talking about, great, right? But the way you're formatting this is that this accounting process means just a blanket accusation against anyone with an R on their name, right? That's the problem in terms of the elected officials, right? And they all support Trump.
Almost all of them. I mean, it sucks, but this is my country. It's kind of how it works. You shouldn't support fascism.
I know. Hold on. I get the moral outrage. I'm morally outraged against those people, right? But I'm talking about
legal
like
outrage,
in terms of a practical in a practical sense, right? That the way to actually heal this country would be that we do that accounting, right? Especially at the top layer, right? We prosecute a Trump figure or Marco Rubio or Pete Hegseth, right? We go after those individuals. But for the rest, all right, and maybe some other people a little further down. But for the rest, you have to give them a way to get on board, right? To understand, okay, this was bad, right? I apologize. I admit my mistakes, but I don't necessarily have to go to prison for that, right? And that invites.
Well, I'm not talking about prison, to be clear. I'm just talking about people being disbarred from running for office again. If you have a different set of consequences, you can be some. Maybe I agree with them. I don't know.
I have a historical question, just because we're talking about Nuremberg. I do know that there were only like 150 150 officials that were charged. If you were just like a Nazi soldier, were you barred from running for office?
I don't think so.
Government.
I believe anyone who was
just wiki it. Ask Grok.
Okay.
Well, don't ask Grok. I'm sorry.
Yeah, don't ask Grok. Yeah.
I could be wrong though. So
yeah. Okay.
So
I'm just,
I think the one thing that is like I definitely agree with it.
Until they
pretty severe accounting. I definitely agree with a pretty severe accounting process, but I definitely disagree with Connor where he's specifically saying that like if this occurs, we're going to have like a civil war on our hands. I think this is such a cult of personality that the moment that Trump like steps down, there's not going to be this sort of rallying cry that's centralized in any sort of way. But yeah, I definitely think that a blanket.
Wait a minute, would Trump? But will Trump be? Will we even bother for trial with him? Because if all that Stephen is asking for, he can't run for office again. But he can't run for office again. Well, he's already done his 2 terms, right? He's not going to do a 3rd term. Why even bother for trial for Trump?
Well, Trump would be charged with different things. His entire family's wealth would be expropriated from him and given to the United States of America. All of his family would be stripped of all their businesses, all their assets, and then they can go rebuild their shit in Russia or wherever the fuck. They can do it in the United States of America too, but every single thing would be taken from that family, 100%.
Listen. I don't even think this is a real conversation. I think what's going on is Stephen, similar to Newsom, is plotting out an extreme position. And then he's watching Prime and Staxiums, who are trying to steelman his position, sprinting over to him, being like, Daddy Stephen, can we do Nuremberg, but maybe not as extreme as what you're talking about? Can we just like, instead of incarcerating them and disappropriating them of property, could we just like, maybe bar them from office? Okay, maybe we could do this, maybe we could do that. No, fuck your extreme position. Your extreme position is bullshit. Staxium and Prime Kai is trying to find a sensible like version of your thing. It's a waste of time and energy. And this is part of what I'm saying is like all you're really doing is, because I have like a few MAGA people in my chat, all you're doing is the MAGA people are like, oh, this is who we knew. We knew Stephen was like this the whole time. We knew that he was a left-wing authoritarian communist dick sucker who was gunning for us. Like, dude, that all you're doing is you're giving red meat to the people that already hate you. That's all you've done.
I don't know how not to give red meat to those people, though. You
can't, because it's a trap they've said that Connor keeps falling into over and over again. It's where somebody's beating the shit out of you over and over and over again. And you go, I'm beating this guy because he's violent. I'm beating this guy because he's violent. I'm beating this guy. And then as soon as he's like, look, see, I told you. And then all the other people around are like, wow, you're playing right into that dude's rhetoric. I noticed. So when you hit him back, like you're playing right into that guy's rhetoric.
Speaking the truth is never a trap. Okay. And by the way, like the reason why MAGA is being hoisted by its own petard is because it's done what you did, but it's painted itself into a corner, okay? It has taken the base and shaken them by the shoulders for decades, that you've mentioned as well. Rush Limbaugh is arguably the beginning of this. And they've taken them by the shoulders and they've shaken and screamed in their face. The elites are all pedophiles. They're all monsters. You're being run by the globalists, the international globalist, post-racial, progressive, communist, Leninist, whatever things. They're all going to kill you. And what's happened is they've radicalized their base to the point that, now, yes, they have power, but now they're turning into the leopards eating faces party. Well, at least the leopard is not going to eat my own face. Donald Trump was forced to, against his will, release the Epstein files because his own party turned against him in reference to it. So once again, you're trying to charge down the same path, saying, he got temporary electoral power.
I don't know.
It's fucking stupid as shit. Start telling the truth.
What argument are you trying to make here right now? I don't know what argument.
The argument that I'm trying to make is that you are trying, for some reason, on the verge of Donald Trump being politically irrelevant within a year, you're arguing that you should adopt and mirror Trump's rhetoric and political positions. It's fucking stupid as shit.
Because the issue you're running into is you're viewing Trump as a single moment, a single discrete moment in time.
No, I'm not. That's why I'm saying we should spend our political capital on the things that caused Trump.
Let Destiny finish.
The things that caused Trump. Yeah, but Trump is also one of the things that caused Trump is the fact that there is no accountability for conservative derangement, and there's never been accountability for conservative derangement, so they'll continue to be deranged. You keep saying that, like, well, we need to let people back. You don't want to prove them right. Prove them right about what? They say the exact same things that I say when they're talking to themselves, and then when they come to the liberals, they're like, oh, you guys can't do that because it would be horrible. And then they go and they do the horrible things. The difference is, for some reason, you believe them when they criticize the liberals, but you're not listening to them when they're giving strategy to their own political operatives.
Okay, so hold on. Let's say that you win this rhetorical game, okay? Is the remainder of American politics for the next 10 years until the entire republic collapses is effectively like a tit-for-tat race to the bottom between extreme lefties and extreme rightoids? Because effectively what I see is I do not see you. Okay, hold on. I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet. Thank you. I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet. Thank you. I'm not done yet.
Let him finish and you can answer.
What I see on the left right now is I see like I've said, I've mentioned the 4 things that I think PF Young is right about that are causing people to crave political radicalism. And I see liberals in their desperation to go after Trump, normalizing socialists and normalizing communists. And you are rhetorically paving the way through which they can use extremist rhetoric in order to seize power. Who's to say that the next Trump is going to be right wing? It could be some left wing fucking socialist degenerate piece of shit. So why the fuck would we make that path easier?
What was the question? I don't remember the question. What was the beginning part of this before you did this whole swear around relevant shit?
Why? In 1 year, we're going to hit the midterms. It's probably going to be a Democrat sweep.
I remember. You were saying
Trump will be politically irrelevant.
I'm doing a race to the bottom. We've been racing to the bottom, led by the Republican Party. Saying that if you do fuck shit, there are going to be consequences. It's not a race for a bottom. It's stopping the race to the bottom.
Dude, in this very conversation, you were talking about convicting people of crimes that they're not even guilty of.
I do. I think they've committed insurrection. I think you can make the argument for it.
No. Insurrection means that you're trying to interrupt a governmental process through like violence or whatever. The people who are MAGA who support Trump, they might support a person who engaged in insurrection, but they themselves are not insurrectionists. So you're actually arguing for people to be convicted of crimes of which they are not guilty.
Supporting an insurrection is in and of itself definitionally engaging in insurrection. That's what it means. If you're supporting somebody in a rebellion,
you said that it was a part of the 14th Amendment. Go ahead and read me it.
Read the text. It says, or somebody who's aided the enemies thereof.
Aided the enemies thereof.
That has a very specific
if somebody
meaning.
legitimately believes in the MAGA bullshit, which I don't, by the way, but if they legitimately believe it, and they are supporting Donald Trump.
Section 3 says no person should be a senator, representative, blah, 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 blah. So the ending part of this is to support the Constitution of the United States shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same or given aid or comfort to the enemies thereof. It's the same thing. Whether you're supporting them or whether you're doing it yourself, it's considered the same.
Donald Trump hasn't been convicted of insurrection and they're supporting their current president.
There you go. That's the
so
trial.
You're going to make it a crime and convict people of a crime for supporting someone who is the active president of the United States, but also of the leader of their caucus, the leader of their party.
I'm sorry. Do you believe that you should always unequivocally support the leader of your party just because he has the letter R or D next to his name?
Of course not. That's like pretty much my entire public platform. Why did you just give that as an excuse then?
Why is that your defense then? You're going to charge
because
this guy?
I think that there's some people who legitimately believe in MAGA. They're dumb. They're geopolitically ignorant.
And those people are enemies to my country. That's fine. There are people that are legitimate communists or legitimate fucking Nazis. Why the fuck would I care about what they think? I'm an American. And I believe in the American Constitution. Why the fuck would I care about somebody who doesn't believe in the American Constitution? What a stupid fucking argument.
By saying that you are going to engage in the race to the bottom, I think you are paving the way for one of those pieces of shit that
How is it a race to the bottom? It's holding people accountable for breaking the law and for encouraging and supporting people who break the law.
But you have already said earlier in this conversation that you're effectively comfortable with fucking convicting these people of a crime that they have not committed. We do not agree that these people have committed the crime. And not only that, I'm accepting this entire paradigm. Not only that, but I'm accepting this entire paradigm that what you're proposing is even possible.
Okay, Connor, wait, I have
to be the case. Go ahead, sorry. Go ahead,
Connor. I got a question. What would you do about specific Trump officials? Like, let's just use like Pam Bondi as an example, who has at multiple times skirted court orders.
Okay, so
Very harsh words.
I
Very
would
harsh
need
Is it? What?
Sorry.
what I would need is I would so for instance, like let's get into specifics. Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Okay,
Yeah.
the Justice Department slow walked / resisted a lower court order in order to return Kilmar Abrego Garcia, and they fought over the word of facilitate, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they dragged it out for 90 to 120 days or whatever, and then they brought him back for some kind of criminal processing. I don't even know what it was. You would have to show me a crime that Pam Bondi or a Trump representative actually committed that is indictable and convictable. Because as far as I know, slow walking a court order is actually not a crime until you reach contempt.
Okay. What about? Sorry, just let me check here.
Just to jump past like hypotheticals,
Mhm.
you need to show me a convictable crime. So as an example, with the drone striking civilian ships in the Caribbean, I think that's quite possibly a war crime. I think it might be a violation of the.
Hegseth is liable.
I think Hegseth is potentially liable. Absolutely.
So
And
he should be convicted of a crime after.
But you need to figure out what it is, and you also need to process through a court. Because, for instance, like I'm pretty sure what is it, Article 2, the roles and responsibilities of the presidency. I fucking forget which article is which article. But the point is that the president does have broad discretion when it comes to national security matters and when it comes to like declaring emergencies and responding to emergencies. But the question is, he directed his Secretary of War to take military action against narco terrorists. So you effectively would have to go to a court and argue, like, what's the definition of a narco terrorist? Who has the ability to even declare what a narco terrorist organization is? Are you able to use lethal force just for drug trafficking? You would have to figure all this shit out. And I wouldn't spend the political capital on this for the next 2 years or 4 years.
But all you're describing is the process. Is like you're saying that it wouldn't be politically.
It would be moral to go after the Trump administration. But by the way, the time to do that wouldn't be after Trump's out of office. The time to do that would be now.
Well, we are taking them to, like, there's multiple lawsuits going on right now with the Trump administration. I don't understand.
Okay,
that.
are there lawsuits specifically for the drone striking of Caribbean boats?
We can't do it right now because we don't have the Department of Justice to charge or investigate these crimes owned by Trump.
Again, now we're kind of getting into the nitty-gritty or whatever. I don't understand how Congress has oversight and yet has no ability to oversee or affect any executive action whatsoever.
Congress can't charge crimes. They can make recommendations to the DOJ,
sure,
but they obviously shut all over that.
But if we're currently blowing up boats, then shouldn't, I don't know, Democratic senators, like this is the one that we bumped onto that's probably the most obvious. Okay, so let's stick with this for a second. This is the most obvious one. How come I'm not seeing AOC, Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, or any of these people stepping up into Congress right now and saying, we're engaged in a unilateral, illegal, extra-constitutional, murderous campaign against civilians in the Caribbean, and regardless of whether or not these people are drug traffickers, this is like a breach of federal authority, and we need to do oversight immediately.
Well, hold on.
People literally been saying
Stephen,
that.
Do you agree? Stephen, do you agree that bombing those boats, that would be one of the things you would charge Trump with, like bombing the Venezuelan boats? Like, what are the crimes?
You wouldn't be charged as like a war crime because this is a Rome statute stuff. We're not a signatory to the ICC. I would charge you as fucking murder.
You charge him with murder. Okay, all right. Even though he didn't actually commit it, you're saying that like
okay, sorry, conspiracy to commit murder.
Conspiracy to commit murder. Okay.
Actually, I'll put that back to Staxians. So Staxians, do you
Mhm.
think Pete Hegseth should be charged with murder when the Trump admin is done?
Murder seems. I don't know it specifically. Look, I'm not a fucking lawyer. I don't know what specific crime he should be committed with, but I do know that. I've got a quote here. He said about the Venezuelan strikes that he has absolute and complete authority based off of the defense of the American people alone and refused justification. I definitely think that there's something convictable in there. I don't know what specifically that crime would be.
Okay, so if we were still entertaining Stephen's hypothetical, then since the Department of Justice can't charge anybody, let's say that we have a Democratic administration next.
Mhm.
What it's like, Stephen, it sounds to me like this, you should support this logically. So Democratic administration comes in. They shouldn't attack affordability. They shouldn't attack the economy. They shouldn't attack, existential technological shifts. They shouldn't tackle immigration. What they should do is they should spend probably the entirety of their first term going through the entirety of the Trump administration, looking for convictable crimes, and then trying to convict all subordinate admin officials of the Trump administration.
They could do both at the same time.
I don't have faith that they could, but I don't know if we need to open that up on a
I
can of
mean,
worms.
You
I
don't
mean, I
know
don't
if
think it's
multiple investigations can occur at one time?
No, I'm sure that they could conduct multiple investigations. I'm just saying that the amount of political capital that you would need in order to convict, so for instance, Pete Hegseth's logical defense would be, I'm the Secretary of War, the Secretary of Defense. There's an immediate threat to death of great bodily harm to American citizens. The president is within my direct chain of command. I'm acting within my direct chain of command, and I'm taking out an existential threat to American citizens. That's part of my purview as the Secretary of Defense. So then you would have to convince a jury or Congress that Pete Hegseth was in the wrong for following orders from Donald Trump in order to take out the Caribbean boats. And then you would have to say, this is worthy of him no longer being able to be in politics, or it would be worthy of incarceration. I think you would bleed a shitload of political capital trying to make that happen.
Let's proffer a hypothetical here. Let's just say, for the sake of conversation, that in 2028, Trump basically disappears. He flees America. Massive blue wave, like 80-20 split kind of thing. Like Texas goes full blue. We have so much political capital. Do you think that we should leverage it in this way? Like, let's just say we do have the political capital.
If we were working in an ideal, let's say that it was like a perfect political environment and we could do this without burning political capital and we could deal with all the things that we were talking about, then yeah, sure. I would love to bar Marco Rubio from politics for being complicit in the indirect deaths of probably hundreds of thousands or millions of people. I would love to hold him accountable for that.
But
I just don't think we can.
That we would also just get rid of the rest of the Republican Party, right? Like,
right,
you're talking about the upper echelons.
Well, and the reason why this actually goes back to as far as like ancient Rome, by the way, apotheosis. It's where the emperor, when he dies, he ascends to godhood or whatever. It's why Gerald Ford forgave Nixon or pardoned Nixon or whatever. The reason why you don't go after the previous administration is because somebody could go after you. Arguably, based off of this logic, if the Republicans get back into office, they can charge Obama for murder for Anwar al-Awlaki and
it's interesting.
Not just that. Hold on, we can go back to Bush. And we can incarcerate Bush for lying about WMDs and launching the Iraq War.
Hold on.
Yeah, actually, Prime's good with all of this, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Hold on.
Go ahead,
Hold
Prime,
on.
please.
Yeah, thank you. So thank you for that jumping off point. First of all, previously, counterpoints, you said that I was trying to make Stephen's points reasonable. I'm not. Stephen's points is fucking ridiculous, right? That being said, what we both agree on, what you just agreed on, is the thing that I was saying previously, is that we should have accountability, right? Especially for those in charge, right? Now, how far down exactly down the rung we should go, right? That's up for debate, right? What Stephen's idea, Stephen's presenting a dumb fuck idea. But still, that's not even my biggest problem with Stephen, right? That's something I have yet to elucidate, but you were just touching on. So, right, my issue is that I don't think Stephen here is actually being consistent, right? Because he's a partisan hack. So, Stephen, I'm going to ask you, hey, should we also go back through the Democratic administrations and then charge presidents with crimes?
I don't know which crimes.
Which crimes? Yes, conspiracy to commit murder, right? So you can give an order.
Which one?
Yeah, sure, Joe Biden. Yeah, Joe Biden, right? Joe
what
Biden.
Murder? What do we say?
The Gazans, right? Providing weapons, right, to slaughter civilians. What about that?
No.
No. Oh, no. We don't do that. No. Okay, those deaths, those are okay, right? Why are those okay?
It's not that they're okay. It's that there's
no. I'm not talking. What did I say? Well, no, I'm not talking to you, Stephen. Right? You have the problem with Stack Sims. You have a different idea, right? And I think
that's fine.
Completely reasonable. But Stephen, why not?
Because it's a military conflict. It's an ongoing military
Oh,
conflict.
it's a military conflict now, right? The Trump administration is assembling one of the biggest naval forces we ever have in the Caribbean, right? They're going to take military actions. They're gonna declare that the narco terrorists, right, are working with Maduro, and then that makes it, because now they have state backing. That's a military action, and so why not? Like, why would
If we had declared war with Venezuela, then I wouldn't be saying that these are murders. Because at
Did
the
we
very least, then he'd be
declare war against Hamas?
no, but Israel did.
No.
They're engaged in a fight with Hamas.
So Israel does. Okay, so when a foreign country does that, wipes our hands clean. So we don't have to even do that, right? But we could just still say that when a foreign nation.
I never said it wipes our hands clean. I said that for the purposes of saying the president of the United States is engaged in murder.
Oh, okay, great. So
it's not about being. We're not talking about being clean or not. We're talking about whether or not somebody is engaged in the act of murder, right? Which is the unjustified killing of a person.
Conspiracy? No.
Conspiracy to commit murder would be like the plan to kill a person.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And the plan was to use those bombs to drop them on civilians. What about that, Stephen?
I don't know if that is necessarily what the plan was, but I don't know if you would charge somebody for selling a gun to somebody.
I just want to make clear that I don't want.
What do you think the bombs are for, Stephen? What do you think the bombs are for?
For military conflict?
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. So, you can see how he's trying to come up with like levels of separation here to say, well, now that doesn't matter when it comes to when it's my leader that I agree with, right? That I dick suck. Well, then, of course, he wouldn't have to face the same charges. What about Obama, right? Like our friend.
Well, to be clear, for the thing, there's a difference between two parties that are actively engaged in a military conflict. It's a lot different than just bombing people in the middle of the ocean, right? Do you acknowledge these are two separate things?
Sorry, which?
Do you acknowledge that killing civilians in the middle of the ocean directly with your own military against a country that you're not at war with, that's a significantly different thing than selling weapons to another country at war?
Well, technically, we weren't at war with Yemen either.
We weren't at war. Yeah, we weren't at war.
We're not talking about Yemen right now, but we have the use of authorization for the military force that covers, I believe, the entire Middle East. But regardless of the Yemen stuff, I'm saying you acknowledge the difference between killing foreign nationals in the middle of an ocean with your military. There's a difference between that and selling weapons to another country.
It would be a difference if that other country was at peace, right? And then you sold them weapons. And then later on, they happen to be used for something nefarious. No, there was an active military conflict. We're deeply involved in it. And then
do you recognize there's a difference between selling a country weapons versus killing another country's citizens?
We can say those are two different things, but are they significant enough? No, they're not significant enough to be different, right? And so, like, I get that you desperately need to draw that line, right? So then,
to be clear, I'm not desperate. You're flailing right now. You're flailing right now.
Your boy Joe Biden won't actually be prosecuted. But again, we can even change it, right? So again, Obama, right, bombing or assassinating Anwar al-Awlaki. Can we charge him? No. Oh, once again. Okay. So now we're taking a direct military action by
What would you charge him with?
You could charge Obama, and you could probably charge Eric.
No, you wouldn't charge
murder.
You wouldn't charge either one. You would look at the intention behind the action. So Obama claims that Obama claims he's not just murdering somebody, he's doing a military action. Well, what were the actions that he took around the time? Did he try to hide this? Did he try to do things that he knew was illegal? No, he went to his Department of Justice. He went to Eric Holder. He sought his legal advice. No, but Trump and the administration are openly. Trump and the administration are openly defiant of the law. They claim that all the judges are rigged. They don't try to figure out if the things they're doing in advance are legal or not legal. They're explicitly and openly saying, like, I don't believe in law. I'm not going to fall.
Bullshit DOJ memo, right? That's saying, it's all legal. No worries, military, right? The things that you're doing is fine.
That's what I was going to say. So
do you think that the memos that are coming from the
the dividing line here is that some sort of legality, right? Or some sort of legal justification, because all presidents say they have legal justifications to do everything they do.
So do you think that all presidents seek the same, in good faith, are seeking the same level of affirmation?
Faith or not, when they're presenting this, right?
It doesn't matter if you're trying to figure out if your actions are legal or not. What do you think a crime is? What do you think a key element of committing a crime is? Is this the criminal state of mind?
Prime, please let me tag in just for a second, okay? The reason why Abdul Rahman al-Awlaki and Anwar al-Awlaki is in more gray area than you might want to concede it for is because they're United States citizens, and there's a huge argument about geography and also whether or not, like, assisting a terrorist organization precludes you from due process. There's actually an argument there. And Eric Holder.
That's fine, but the thing that you're
No, I'm not done yet, though. I'm not done yet,
Oh my
though.
God.
Okay.
I know, but everything you're about to say is irrelevant. But go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
Let him say
no,
it.
no,
Hold
no.
on,
You
let
go
him
ahead.
say
It's
it, and
all
then
it's
we'll-
all irrelevant.
Thank you.
So
Okay, I
go
will.
ahead.
Thank you. The reason why it's irrelevant is because what you're about to give is an argument that challenges the legality of the U.S. president to assassinate essentially American citizens of other countries, which is a fair argument. But none of that gets you any closer to saying Obama committed murder.
Wait, hold on. Obama went to Eric Holder. Eric Holder said, "Yeah, we're probably good." That was it. And then they drone striked Anwar al-Awlaki, and they drone strike for Abdul Raham, by the way. They were drone striking somebody else, and then they just accidentally killed a 16-year-old US citizen. So like that's fine. Like for me, I don't give a sorry, Prime, I'm gonna betray you a little bit.
Right.
I don't give a fuck about Anwar al-Awlaki. I don't give a fuck about Abdul Raham. What I'm trying to point out to you, though, is that once you open up this can of worms of, well, this admin was uniquely bad according to my perspective, therefore we're going to go after all you motherfuckers, then at that point you're opening up the can of worms, not just for previous administrations, but for any future administrations.
Is there a fact of the matter that some administrations might be betraying the ideas or the laws of the U.S. Constitution more than other people, or is it all just like a whatever meme?
Of course, but one of the largest political scandals of the past 30 years is the fact that we have evidence for this. Donald Rumsfeld and Dick Cheney knowingly exaggerated evidence in order to justify the case for the war in Iraq that resulted in hundreds of thousands of dead people, tens of thousands of American dead, $2 trillion spent. So if there's something worth investigating to see whether or not there was criminality involved in, I would say that deserves a second look.
Sure, I wouldn't disagree with you at all on that.
Yeah, of course, no, because it's a Republican administration. Yeah, no, hold on.
What?
We can all say that yes, different administrations violate the law in different ways, right? I'm saying, hey, I'll be consistent. In any way that you violate the law, right, you'll be prosecuted. That's what I'm saying. Why
But
can't
you're
you
drawing
say the
this
same thing?
equivalence. You're drawing this equivalence
Hold on,
between.
I'm not drawing.
Let's
Any.
stack teams get in here. Let's stack teams get in here a second.
Whatever.
Hold on,
You're trying.
Then you can respond, Prime. I promise. Go ahead.
You're trying to point to Democratic politicians and Republican politicians like there's some sort of equivalence here, but we're talking about the Iraq War. And
I am not okay. So Stack seems to know exactly what you're going to say already. That's why I didn't bother waiting to
Go
listen.
ahead.
No, I'm not drawing equivalence here.
How are you guys all
I literally
psychic?
just said, hey, there are differences. Just now, when you jumped in, I just said, hey, there are differences in how different administrations violate the law. Right? We take that into account, and in any way that you violated the law, that's what you'll be prosecuted for. Right? So it doesn't matter. Right? So yes, in big ways in which you lied to the American people, you make up evidence, and you draw us into a massive forever war, yeah, you'll be prosecuted for that. And then smaller ways, assassinating American citizens without proper authorization, yeah, you'll be prosecuted for that too. I prosecute all of them for everything, right? So my position is that you terrify past presidents to keep future presidents in line, right? Destiny was trying to sniff at that argument, right? He was pointing at that argument, but he only meant for Democrats. That's the secret thing, right? They were saying under his breath, right? So when Democrats supported genocide, well, that's okay, right? When Democrats assassinate Americans abroad, well, that's okay, right? But when a Republican comes into office, oh, okay, well, that's the thing we have to be afraid of, right? That's when the lawyers get their subpoenas out.
yeah, but there's several degrees of indirectness when it comes to Biden's involvement in Israel. Even if we're saying,
good.
Even if we're saying, like,
let's stack teams finish, please. Let's stack teams finish.
okay, well, we can look at Obama or Biden specifically, but Obama's in murky territory and Biden's in murky territory. But Bush and Trump, it's pretty clear cut.
Why is Obama? You don't have to give me Bush and Trump. You don't have to bring that up, because I am going to prosecute them in my utopia, right?
No, but I'm justifying why I am going to be harsher towards the Republicans.
Okay, I want to draw this back. I want to draw this back to the matter at hand of what do Democrats do with MAGA once they get into power. I want to bring
this is the matter at hand.
Are you trying to reframe it when there's a genocide going on?
There
you fucking idiot.
is the matter at hand, right? So we're talking about, hey, like, you're saying that there should be a legal process, the WIC, right? You're saying we're asking, should there be a legal process to deal with the crimes of the previous administration, right? Like, should we normalize that? I say yes. I've already agreed to that. Okay, great, right? Now, like, if this is going to be a process, and if it's going to be something that is respected, right, and seen as legitimate, then you would have to do it on both sides, or else it doesn't count. Destiny says, hey, this process will get us to the capital T truth about what has happened in the past, right? It has to be a public spectacle to do that, right? Well, then part of that should be accounting for every administration.
Tell you
right?
what,
Because
the
there is
leftists
no
get
truth.
power, you can do that. But we're talking about realistic outcomes, and we're talking about the
No.
Democrats and the Republicans. The
So
leftists
then
never get
none of this is
power.
realistic.
If the
Sorry,
leftists
none of
ever
this
get
is
power, we
realistic.
can have
This
that.
whole topic
Yeah, I
is
think
not
we left
realistic.
realism
You know
a
that.
while ago.
So we're already in fantasy, right? So if we're going to be in fantasy, and we're going to deal with Stephen's dumbass idea, right, of prosecuting the Republican Party all the way down to fucking dog catcher, right? We're already there. And so I'm asking for a bit of consistency. Like, I'm trying to point out the vast hypocrisy that is Stephen's entire political platform.
Okay, if you're asking for consistency, if there's any Democrat who's lied to the UN in order to bring us to war in the Middle East, I would happily impeach them too.
Oh, King.
Okay, yeah, great. I would too. I don't know why.
Great, awesome. We
Fucking awesome.
You keep distracting. I don't know what you're doing here, right? I already agreed to that. I agree to that, right? I'm saying for lesser crimes, I'd also do that too. Come on, what is the minimum?
But you
crime?
can't.
Let me ask Stack Sims here. Okay, Stack Sims, since you've been wanting to jump in and get some airtime. Stack Sims, what is the minimum the maximum amount of crime, right, that a president can do and not be charged? Democrat or Republican?
This feels like
Mogged. You just got mogged, dude. Mogged.
True. I don't need to explain when specifically night turns into day to explain where day is and where night is. I know that Trump crossed the line. I don't know where the line is.
I know.
Brian,
you keep trying to distract us. Like, come on. You had a lot of airtime here.
Okay, hey, I don't know. The answer is I don't know where exactly the maximum
so I do
crime
know.
is.
Then I do know. Okay, great. Then I do know. I have an idea. So when I'm talking about murder, right? Yes, you've gone into the territory where you get charged, right? I've given a direct line. Nothing below murder. Okay, nothing below murder or conspiracy to commit murder, right? Nothing below that, right? So now that we've established that, great. Then I would say I would charge President Obama, right? And I would charge President Biden, right, for sending weapons to a country that his own State Department declared was committing war crimes.
I love you, buddy.
You're gonna need a piece.
But we're gonna move on. And we're going to get to back to the topic at hand.
Well, yeah, man. Stephen's been a coward there. No, look at Stephen sitting there being a coward because he didn't actually want to engage with it.
No, it's just the continuum.
To be clear, there's nothing to engage with. There's nothing to engage with. We talk about horrible crimes. We talk about people who are acting within what they believe their legal authority is. There's a difference between people acting within what they believe their legal authority is versus people who are acting with flagrant disregard for legal authority. This administration, and it's provable. This is provable. The current administration
says that
is that no, they don't. You can look. It's pretextual, and it's clearly protect. That's fine because you don't understand the law and you don't follow what they say. Okay, but they clearly say Donald Trump. They clearly say that we don't believe what the judges say. We don't think that the judges are correct on this. They're all activists. We don't care what the judge says. We're going to do whatever we want anyway. They very clearly know, or if anything, they should know that you can't just kill citizens in South America without cause, and that's a totally okay thing to do. That's plainly obvious.
I want to give it to counterpoints, hopefully to re-rail us. If he does not re-rail us, I will re-rail us forcibly and non-consensually.
I'll do it again.
Sure.
I'll do it again.
I understand.
You got to put these guardrails up to the conversation.
I will.
I'll try.
Because fuck you.
So
reinforce them.
Okay, so yeah, I'm trying to re-rail us. I'm going to reject that this is even a possibility. If we can't impeach Trump now, if the best thing we can do is have Democrats stand up in Congress and ineffectually say, oh, I really disagree with this. If that's all we can achieve right now, we're not getting shit after Trump's gone. I think it's a waste of time. I think it inflames maybe it's a marketing strategy. Maybe this is a marketing strategy to get Democrats psyched for the midterms or some shit. If you said it was a marketing strategy, then I would be like, oh, okay. Stephen's just using the hyperbolic language in order to get, libtards excited for the midterms. And I'd be like, all right, fuck it. That's just what Stephen's doing. But you said to take you literally and seriously. And at this point, I'm going to say literally and seriously, it's a stupid fucking idea. The
Dumbass
Democrats
idea.
cannot walk and chew gum. They need to focus on not Trump. They need to focus on the material circumstances that caused Trump, which once again, I will assert is rapid demographic change, existential technological shifts, income inequality, and the dissolution of the social fabric. And if we don't deal with those four factors as a society,
we can't charge Trump
fucked.
with crimes. We just need Democrats to solve fast technological change, solve demographic issues in the United States, solve the social fabric dissolving, and then solve whatever the other fourth existential
Yeah, if you weren't
Fuck
such
me,
a twat,
why didn't they just fix every single
if you
fucking
weren't
issue with
being a
society?
twat-
That's crazy. Why did I think of that? Fuck
if
me,
you
dude.
weren't being a twat, then you could realize that these are things that are affecting radicalism on both sides of the political binary.
Yeah, but we can
and
agree
there
with
are
that.
Republicans who are concerned about these things, who would be interested in coming up with solutions to these things.
Yeah, but I can
That's
point
what
to a
politics
fucking,
is supposed to be.
I can point to a crime and go, okay, but look at the poverty in the area. Look at all of these factors that go into the crime. We still prosecute individuals. Like, I don't understand this.
Yeah, but we've already acknowledged that
this
the chances of
focus-
you prosecuting a criminal in this regard is a snowball's chance in hell. So
Okay,
why don't
let
we
me
actually
ask
focus
you a
on
question.
I'm addressing
solving the
point one at a
things that
time.
cause
let me
the
ask you a
crime?
question to Destiny and to Staxiums here. If
Mhm.
okay, if you knew that engaging in this would absolutely lead to Democrats losing in 2026 and 2028, if this running on this platform, if you had a crystal ball and you knew 100% that even advocating for what you think is right is going to fail and it's going to cost you the election, would you still do it?
No, I would not.
Okay,
We
you
know
would-
for a fact? No, you'd probably try to find some middle ground.
Okay. So what I'm telling you is we have a lot of evidence given the past and how it turned out when we tried to do this with Trump the first time and how that again was
But we didn't do it with Trump the
pretty big
first time. What do you
factor
mean?
leading to us losing, right?
You're talking about the
I don't know how
impeachments?
you could possibly say that, but also I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean we didn't try it with Trump? We never got any federal charges.
We never got any
Federal
federal charges, but not for lack of trying and not for lack of people
Yeah, we didn't really try. We
investigating.
didn't try. It was 2 years before the special counsel was appointed. We didn't try that hard.
I
mean, like,
disagree with you, and I think that the public.
I would agree. No, I would agree with Stephen here, right? That we don't. Well, I would agree that there was massive Democratic incompetence, right, by Joe Biden, by Merrick Garland. Absolutely, 100%. I would agree with that, right? I would agree that they were engaging in what Stephen is trying to engage, right? Like in protection of the powerful. So they didn't actually want to charge him with anything, right? Like if they did, then they could have done it immediately, right? There was clear reason
I don't know
to
why
do
you're saying
so,
it because I mean,
but they
that's not my
waited
point at all.
for
but,
because until it was politically at least they thought it was politically expedient, right? They waited to the end, and it was a disaster, right? It was a disaster because they ran out of time. But yes, they were protecting the powerful. They were extremely reluctant to do that. That case, even when there was their opponent.
Hold on. Do you think if they had been successful in prosecuting Trump federally, right, and they had sent him to jail, even, right? Like Trump is now in jail, okay, for all the January 6th crimes, insurrection, all these things. Do you think that Republicans would have won more or less in 2024?
far less.
Less. Yeah,
Less.
I agree. Yeah,
I
absolutely.
think
I
that
do.
is absolutely wrong. I think this would have been.
I think he's the
seen
leader of a
as
cult.
feeding into their persecution narrative. It would have been given.
It's so
truth
crazy. Do you see how cucked
100%?
your position is? That literally any time you try to hold somebody accountable, they're like, you're feeding into their narrative.
Not
So
any
we just
time
can't
and
hold
not-
anybody. So we
not in
okay.
any
So what is?
context.
Wait. Then can somebody give me another thing? Then I'm not like 100% bought into this has to be the penalty, but give me what your proposed penalty is. Then what should the accountability look like for how conservatives have acted over the past 10 years?
Well, I think that. Oh, go ahead.
sorry, you go
Tyler,
first.
please.
Or
Oh,
you-
sure. I'll go first. I think that they're getting their accountability. We saw it last Tuesday. On
Never mind.
November
No,
4th.
never
I
mind.
saw
You're
that.
I'm not talking
Hey,
about losing an
Hold
election.
on.
I'm
Do you
talking
think
about losing an
politicians
election.
don't want to win? Do you think that politicians don't want to win elections?
I think they do want to win elections. Yes.
So, yes. So when the disincentive is, hey, if you behave in this manner, you won't win elections.
Do you think that they're losing
probably
because they're
effective?
behaving in a particular manner, or because everything is going to shit and they're failing to deliver on even the
Behaving in
most basic parts of their
These
agenda?
things are correlated.
They're not.
You don't think that them behaving in the manner that they do is leading everything to go to shit?
No, I think if Trump were
incompetence
more
and their inability
competent,
to
they would be
govern
given.
is
If Trump were more
absolutely
competent, no, it's
correlated
absolutely not.
with their level
No.
of corruption and malice.
You can argue that like the similar traits play into people that act,
Yeah.
in similar ways, but it's not like Republicans are like, you know what? Abrego Garcia, that was fucked up. No, that's not happening. And that's what you need them to think. Just because things are going to shit because the president is incompetent as fuck doesn't mean that conservatives are going to look at the future and go, wow, we definitely shouldn't support an evil person again.
They're not going to think when you again have these trials, these Nuremberg trials for MAGA, that these are
Then
the
what do you do to
crimes
get them to think
Trump
that way? What do you
committed,
do to
and
get them
this
to
is why
think that
they
way?
can't have power. They're going to think
I'm
that the
listening to you, Robert.
Democrats. Oh, you're just going to leave when
I'm listening. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. They're going to think that the Democrats are the ones who are persecuting their political enemies, and the voting base is going to vote accordingly. That's my point.
But then what do you
Counterpoints,
do?
Do you have a different?
Is it just lose the election? Then you have nothing. Then you can't do anything. They've insulated themselves
Of course,
perfectly.
again, there are things that you can do, but they should not
Wait,
be.
wait. Oh my God.
Wait,
hold
but
on.
what if public?
No, I got it. I think that if they don't let us prosecute them, then that means that they're evil Hitlers. So now they have to let us prosecute them. Otherwise, Wick, you're going to be saying, well, Destiny said you guys are evil Hitlers if you guys do that thing. And now that you're doing that thing, you're proving him right. Is that? Can I just say that? All the
you
Democrats
can,
should
but
change that. Okay.
What
There
I
we go.
say has historical basis and
No, it
election
doesn't.
results backing
No,
it.
it
What
doesn't.
you say has
Wait, hold on.
vibes and
What
is your
basis backing it.
What is your
The
basis?
November 4th election that just happened, where moderates
You think
ran the
he won
fucking
that
board,
election?
and the guy who had the rhetoric like
Sure,
you
I-
got like he
Wait.
performed the least well out of every single Democrat who won.
The least well? You mean
Yeah,
the guy
he
who was
was
based as
he got
fuck and said
carried
he,
over
would,
the
he
finish
wanted his
line. Jay
opponent's
Jones is
children
what
to
I'm
be
talking
killed,
about.
still won his election? King, okay? Number one. Number two, what in terms of the Trump election, where's the evidence that are you implying that the New York State convictions that helped Trump, or that all
Yes,
the
I think that
charges-
helped Trump.
You think
I
those
that
helped
his
Okay,
Trump?
no, wait,
Yes, I
that's
think
fine,
that
that's
helped
fine. But I
Trump
just want just to be
politically.
clear then, the rules that Wick are writing right now, Wick is saying that, like, yeah, president should always break the law because if you ever try to hold them accountable, it's going to help them win the next election, I guess. That's what you're saying.
I'm saying that I would rather win than have some kind of weird, this is what I want to be justice, but not actually get those justice either. Like, in order to get justice, you have to win first. So my advocacy
Yeah, I agree.
is
We have to
about
win first.
winning first.
Yeah.
Once
and
we
then after
win,
I agree with you.
we get 'em.
okay?
I agree with you. But what if
But
what if
when you
we?
come out and you say that, hey, if we win, we're going to take away
accountable.
every
Accountability.
single
So you're fine-
Republican
so should
you're
we do it
fine with
secretly?
You're not
everything?
going to
So-
win.
Wick, we
Yeah,
should
so
just do
you're
it
fine with-
secretly.
Yeah. So Wick is saying he's fine with all of what Destiny
That's
is
not
saying,
what I'm
right?
about
saying.
it.
Just as long as we
You know what,
lie
Wick?
about it, right? And then we surprise Nuremberg trials, right?
Look.
we do. And
You're
good.
I'm fucking with you, bro. But you can't admit it to your audience because then you're not
No.
saying it
Yeah, you
silently.
can't say
That's
you're
not what I'm saying.
I'll message
I-
you later, dude.
You know
Don't
what?
worry.
Well, actually, couldn't we do that? Well, hold on. I'm trying to think. What are the chances that you could have like a massive agenda that everybody's accusing you of doing, but then you deny it the entire time? And then when you get into elected office in 2025, you have this big project that you're trying to carry out all the plans of, even though you said that you knew nothing about it. Maybe this would be kind of crazy. Never mind.
Okay, counterpoints you wanted to get in earlier. Go ahead.
So somebody in my chat, I think a DGGer brings up an interesting point, which is maybe state level crimes as a way to circumvent blanket pardons. But then I don't know what state level crimes you would be accusing people of, that let alone that you would have sufficient evidence in order to obtain a conviction. I also still think that that would avoid the insurrection issue. And once again, I'm just going to say this for like the fourth time. I think y'all got a fistful of nothing. I think you have as a matter of fact, saying Republicans, if you don't let us prosecute you, you're gay. That probably would be more effective than what you
Let's
guys
do
are
it.
advocating
I'm
for.
okay with that.
Because then the Republicans would be like, no, I'm not gay. You can prosecute Donald Trump. You can prosecute Pete Hegseth. I'm not gay. Like that would actually, that almost makes more sense than what you're saying.
If it works, it works.
Yeah, I'll do that. Sure.
Okay, but I'm just saying, like, we do realize that we are all 20 to 40-year-old adults here. The thing that you're arguing for
What
has
was
a
Connor's
snowball's
answer to
chance
why
in
won't
hell
Republicans
happening.
act? Why won't Republicans act even more unhinged in the future if there's no accountability for what's happening now?
Well, okay, but I'm asking you a different question, which is effectively like, you can't get the accountability that you're looking for.
You can try. You can get as close to it as possible.
Hold on. Trying and failing is worse than not trying. You understand that, right?
Well, I do understand
It's
that,
true.
but we're also talking about political. He's saying
I'm asking.
That
if
feels like a
Steven understands
truism.
that.
It
Destiny, do you
depends.
understand that? If you
Definitionally
try
not
and
true. You
fail,
can
it's
charge.
worse than
You
not
can
trying, correct?
No.
You
can't let the
don't
fear
think
of
that's
failure keep you from trying. You can get closer to perfect. Don't let perfection be the enemy of progress. There you go. See, I can do these two.
Okay.
okay.
But here's the thing.
But
The perfection that you want of prosecuting everyone who's ever done a crime for every single thing they do is the perfection that you're letting get in the way of actual progress here. So,
Well, sure. Maybe we
again,
only convict half
if
of
you
them.
try to convict them
Mhm.
and you try this plan and then it doesn't work, what that does is that just sends an even stronger signal that
Yeah,
they can get away with it even if you try to fight them.
So
Yeah,
what if
but
we don't
saying
charge them with
that
anything? Why wouldn't they try to do the
Democrats
same
shouldn't have
thing?
impeached Trump?
Again,
Are
there
you saying that
already...
Democrats shouldn't have impeached Trump before? Because they failed.
Hold on.
That's a
I
great
think that
question, actually.
impeaching Trump is different than what is being advocated for tonight.
Hold on, but you're saying if you're
on.
trying to
I'm okay with impeaching Trump, even if it doesn't work. That's different than what's
Why?
being advocating here
Well,
Why,
tonight.
Well,
You're
trying and
talking
failing
about-
is worse than not doing it.
Not
at
in
all.
every context.
yeah.
The context changes.
That was No,
calculation.
I know, I agree.
But we're
Okay.
yeah,
But when
sure.
you
Hold on,
try
Why,
and
Don't
why,
agree with
why
that.
is it
No,
different?
don't agree with that.
So if you try and fail to win an election, that's a lot different than trying and failing.
Sure,
to
hold on, we're
bar
talking about taking-
25% of the Republican Party from ever running
yeah,
for
and I'm
office.
trying to and hey, so these are apples to apples, okay, right? Impeaching Trump, right, or putting him through these trials, right, is a legal process, well, political/legal process for impeachment, in which, like, a formal process in which you present evidence and you get a group of individuals to decide if it was convincing enough to impose consequences. These are the same things, right? And they tried to do impeachment and they failed, right? And you're saying, well, that's okay. But like, if you try to do a trial and they don't have the forethought to know that if it's going to work or not, then we shouldn't bother.
I think that you can look at the evidence that you would bring against, say, Marco Rubio, and that would be far, far weaker of a slate of evidence than you would have against someone like Trump.
Obviously,
You disagree?
I don't think anyone's disagreeing.
Now you're moving.
Wait, we don't know
Now-
that. We
now
haven't
you're
seen his emails
changing.
yet. We haven't gotten subpoenas yet. We haven't done an investigation.
You haven't done any of that.
Wait, then Trump
Like, we haven't
himself,
actually gone through the
obviously, it would be
process.
definitionally less, because the only piece of evidence that you would look at is that
your
he's
argument
supporting
is
Trump
that you have
more.
less evidence against Trump than Marco Rubio.
That's not. You're
Hold on,
talking about Steven, right?
you're probably almost definition going to have less evidence because Trump is higher up in the organization and was handing down orders, right?
No,
But
because
that doesn't mean
Trump is the dictator. Trump is the
and
fascist.
even if you have less evidence, that doesn't mean you don't have enough evidence for a conviction, right? There might be different quality, or different crimes
Do you
altogether.
think that they
you
have
might
enough
charge him
evidence
with.
to convict Marco Rubio of insurrection?
I
If we
think
want to
no.
if we want to play the 14th
can
Amendment
decide that.
game, if we want to look at the 14th Amendment, it doesn't even require a criminal conviction. It just requires a determination that somebody is committed or engaged in or aided somebody in an insurrection, and that is enough to bar them from ever
But the
holding a
14th
future office.
Amendment use of aid and comfort is different
Mhm.
than the colloquial use of aid and comfort. You understand this, right? Like, it doesn't mean
How?
anyone who sent a "I hope you feel better" Trump text was comforting Trump, right? There's specific criteria that you have to meet.
No,
to
it's
meet
aid
the
and
bar
comfort. It's
of
aid and
aiding
comfort
and
in them committing an insurrection.
Yeah, we know that. We all know that.
Okay, Marco Rubio participating in his government does not necessarily meet the criteria of aiding and abetting an insurrection.
Hold on.
Do you think
he's
that Hitler's
Secretary of
second
State?
vice president, vice chancellor, I don't know who it would have been. Do you think that guy was aiding Hitler just for participating in the government?
As
yeah, but
again,
sorry,
as-
I would
no,
like to
hold
jump
on.
in
As
as a
Zach
debater
Davis
with an
mentioned,
IQ over
Several
80.
several of
This
the
is
Some of them are
murder
innocent,
trial
some of them are
people were
innocent.
found innocent.
This is stupid as shit.
So no,
The-
it's not necessary.
Hold on, but they were put. Hold on, but they were put through a trial.
That's
right?
what I'm
You would
saying. We
say-
should put all of them
Yeah,
on
yeah.
trial, but some
Yeah,
you
some of them will be innocent, which is why
Yeah, you
I'm
put-
kind of the middle ground here. Yeah.
Yeah, you put them on trial, and then that's how we found out.
I recognize that
right? If
Rubio,
was the
you
case.
guys keep pointing to Rubio because he is by far the only member of the administration who is maybe even kind of disagreeing with Trump. The rest of them are fucking lock in step. And
I mentioned Rubio just to be clear. I'm mentioning Rubio because he's the only one with really political like gravitas in that administration. He has Fox News
Gravitas?
contributors like Pam Bondi and fucking
Just to be
Hegstad.
clear, Rubio has no political gravity right now. I don't think.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. I want to point this out, though, because there's obviously a flaw in this case. You guys are saying charge them with insurrection in order to bar them from participating in politics in the future. My frustration with what you're saying is, as far as I know, the documented case of Donald Trump conducting insurrection or being a part of an insurrection or seditious conspiracy or whatever is January 6, 2021. Half of his administration wasn't even a part of his administration during January 6, 2021. And not only that, it's difficult to argue that them acting within their capacities as cabinet members is them aiding and abetting or providing comfort for insurrection when the person that you're charging with insurrection is not actively engaged in insurrection. So there's a fatal flaw to your case, even if we were to even entertain it, which we shouldn't.
Once an insurrectionist, always an insurrectionist. If you support him in the future and he's doing the same behavior, boom.
Okay, same behavior. What's the same behavior as far as Trump is going on right now? How has he overthrown the government of the United States?
He's overthrown state governments by nationalizing the national guards of different states without getting approval from the governors first. That's a clear violation of the law. He is trying to use the military for purposes of law enforcement. That's also usurping the states' rights there to do their own law.
Except for that's already been to court. And the court said that they're allowed to protect federal buildings. They're not allowed to engage in law enforcement activities. And as far as we know, that's what's happened.
Well, so the ruling from a DC court today was that he's not allowed to send the National Guard to DC to go do law enforcement things. I don't know. I'm sure there are TROs and states that have been challenged, but these are challenging the president's lawful authority to do a thing. I want him challenged for insurrection.
But federalizing the National Guard is not a crime. Federalizing the National Guard in order to protect. Hold on.
If the governors don't want it,
thank you, Stephen. I already let you psychically know my arguments earlier. I would like to finish a sentence. Thanks. I've been listening to you.
Because you just started off by saying a thing that
so
Trump
anyways,
didn't do.
Stephen, I would like to talk. Thank you. I get it. You're the main character. Please shut the fuck up for 10 seconds.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Drinking water is not a crime either.
Federalizing the National Guard in and of itself is not a crime. Also, federalized National Guard are allowed to protect federal buildings, as is the military. That's what the courts have found so far.
We're not talking about either of those things, though, are we?
Yeah, you just said that a DC court prohibited federalized National Guard from participating in law enforcement action.
Yeah, but the first example I brought up, California, was federalizing the National Guard without the consent of the governor.
You're allowed to do that.
No, you're not. You have to have the consent of the governor to do it. No, in Trump 1, remember when Trump made a big deal about, was it the Minnesota, about the governor not asking him for help and not letting him use the National Guard or whatever? No, you need the consent of the governor.
I almost guarantee you. I could look it up.
Hold on.
I will look it up just for the sake of, I don't know, getting something productive out of this conversation. But I almost guarantee you the commander-in-chief can federalize the National Guard for like national emergencies.
Yeah, but see, if we had a court case on this publicly, we both know the answer. See how good it would be to get all this out?
I think we already have. I just have to research it.
It's going through the court right now. We understand this, right? That this is an open legal question that is going through the
It's
court.
not an open
I
legal
think it's
question.
already been found multiple times. I think there's already multiple states that have already gone through the process, and the process has been Trump can federalize National Guard. Trump can deploy National Guard and federal troops in order to protect federal buildings. They are not allowed to participate in law enforcement action. I think the lower courts have already found that.
The only way that you can do this is I don't know if the law says in times of rebellion or insurrection. It might. I don't know if it's a national emergency thing, but it might be in times of insurrection or rebellion. But again, there's a reason why he didn't do. Why didn't he do this?
There's like half a dozen exceptions. It's not just one.
Why didn't he do this during BLM then?
Why didn't? Because they're not allowed to participate in law enforcement action without declaring the Insurrection Act, and he didn't want to declare the Insurrection
federal buildings.
Act.
What do you mean?
He didn't want to declare the Insurrection Act. He could have used federalized National Guard if he wanted to. He would just have to declare the Insurrection Act first.
Why was he complaining then about not being able to do it because the governors weren't asking him for it? Also, Trump was not allowed to deploy the National Guard.
Why are we even trying to figure out what Trump means? Like, Trump's a fucking dumbass. He doesn't understand any of this shit.
Being a dumbass doesn't mean that his behavior is random or unknowable. It's because
I never made that argument. I was saying that the president of the United States, throw Trump out of the window real quick. I will Google it. However, it is my understanding, based off of court cases that have already made it through the pipeline, that the president of the United States is allowed to federalize the National Guard under half a dozen to a dozen circumstances, and that he's also allowed to deploy federalized National Guard and military in order to protect federal buildings. However, those people are prohibited from enforcing laws because they're not law enforcement.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay, well, I'll Google it. You guys have fun jerking each other raw about shit that's not going to happen.
Jerking it raw, yes.
Jerking it raw. Okay. I'm going to read some super chats at this point, and then we will get into the final section of the show. and we'll see how it goes. $5 from Darina. Wow, Wick, it's like you don't even care about America. You could have worn something a little more patriotic. Geez, like a giant wiener costume. No wiener costume here, but I thought about I like my American hoodie. Okay, thank you for $5. $5 from J Ray N7 to say, isn't Rubio a main champion of the Venezuela plan, and he has enacted the plan to strip the First Amendment rights of immigrants? He has. I'm not saying that Rubio's a good guy. $5 to Trib 1. Can we stop virtue signaling here? LOL. Trump is a traitor. All in power who support him should absolutely get treated as traitors as well. It's that simple. Okay, $5 from the Trib 1. Do you remember how many Republicans quit or were fired during and after his first term? The Rhino Group. Like, where are your balls at? This is easy. $5 from Psycher Games. I don't want to get political, but I think butter goes well on toast. Sorry if that offends anyone. $10 from Not Rusted Halo Wick. Ask Destiny to explain why this won't fail, like when we banned the Ba'ath Party members from holding power in Iraq post-2003.
Well, I've done that. Hey, why not?
Yeah, why won't this fail? Did he answer your question? I don't remember.
No, he's
The
sat
Ba'ath
there
Party
like a
was a
fucking
single
idiot.
party rule. The Ba'ath Party was literally the entirety of the Iraqi government. There's a difference.
I don't know enough about
yeah,
2003
Tom,
Iraq comments.
You're clearing out. You're clearing out the entirety of the active Republican Party, right? Well, first of all, they do have single party rule in some areas, right? It's just Republican, and so you actually are clearing all
The
that
United
out as
States of
well.
America is a democracy. They voted for and they supported willingly a dictator. You didn't really have much of a choice with Saddam Hussein. He would fucking kill you if you didn't support his regime. And it was a single party rule. So you had to be part of that if you were going to be part of the government anyway, such shape, or form.
But what we're talking about is the failure here, right? Like you're like
No, it's okay. I understand
sending
because
us
you care about Palestine. You know nothing about the Middle East. Obviously, that logically follows. So now we're trying to make this work.
Whatever.
But
No,
it's not even
Stop
remotely. It's not even remotely comparable.
Steven,
It's not remotely comparable.
It won't
Okay?
work with me. You're not gonna distract me with that. Whatever, right? So, Steven, right? We're talking about a failure state here, right? We're trying a point in which you take a political action, right? And it's and the consequences are so huge that it has massive unintended blowback. That's what we're referring to, right? Not the exact sequence of events that happened in Iraq, okay? So why wouldn't this fail, right? So you're saying that we take down the entire active Republican Party, right? We take away the voice, essentially, for half of the voting public. And there won't be any sort of reaction. This instead will shine light down, open all their eyes to the crimes,
let a new wave of Republicans
rather
come
than
up.
entrench them.
Let a new wave of Republicans come up and run for office. People will move on.
What do you think they'll do? Right?
Not the same things the last party did.
What do you think the lessons will be?
The lesson will be you have to do insurrectionist things and destroy the country because we're going to get held accountable for it.
Hold on, just real quick. I see tons of Republicans. I'm not talking politicians here. I'm talking normal. I won't say them; they're normal, but average Republicans who vote, and they are complaining because they worried that the Democrats are going to do exactly what you do, and they are urging Trump to be more extreme because they're saying if you don't Trump, then the Democrats are going to do this. So once you get in power and you do this,
should be worried.
What do you think these voters that are saying this
do it
now are going to vote for in the future?
They won't do it again. They should be worried. There should be worried that if you break the law, if you do bad things will happen to you. You should be worried about that. Yeah, that's a good one.
Except if you're a Democrat. Except if you're a Democrat.
Can't I flip that immediately and say, because I see Republicans all the time who are terrified of Trump and think that they're bringing democracy down to the toilet and America is exploding, and they're like, where's the party of Dick Cheney? Where's the party of?
So why would we ever cede that ground because we're winning? Why would we ever?
We're not ceding
ground. No, we're inviting them in. We're inviting them in. We're saying we're fucking getting rid of all of that old administration. Old Republicans, come on in. You're welcome at the table. We'll fight you politically, but we're certainly not gonna. We'll let you run for office. That's an extreme. That's Steven's position.
Do you hear yourself now?
No. But certainly speaking, Pam Bondi should not be able to.
Are you an only child?
No, I have two sisters.
You ever play a video game against somebody who's way better than you or older than you, and you're trying to set some fucking attack
never
and you're like,
played
oh,
against
I bet
anyone
you won't
better
even let
than
me
me,
get this. I bet you won't even let me loot this completely. I bet you won't even let me. I bet you're trying to kill me early. I bet you're trying to do this, right? And you say this shit so the other person doesn't do it. So you can get some fucking god gun or some fucking blue shell or some bullshit so that you can finally beat him. The fact that the Republicans are saying, wow, I bet that the Democrats are going to try to hold us accountable for fucking destroying this fucking country. And then you're like, okay, well, let's hold them accountable. And you're like, oh my God, you've fallen right into their trap. No, the trap is what you've fallen into, which is no accountability because the Republicans are scared of accountability. Meanwhile, what do the Republicans say on their side? What do the Republicans say? We better not be fucking crazy because that would set a really bad
No,
precedent.
they're saying we
The
need to
things
be as
that
crazy as possible because the Democrats are going to kill us all. That's
No,
what they're
they say
saying.
the Democrats have already done it. The same thing that you use as excuses for restraint on the left, the Republicans use as excuses, as reasons to act on the right. They say
And that's why they're losing and I'm winning. Yes.
They're not.
And you
losing.
not.
They
We're
won
not
the second
winning.
election. They won the second election. What are you talking about?
Were you here a year ago?
Ran
Like,
an
fuck.
They won a fluke
octogenarian with his
election where we
brain leaking
pushed
out of his
our
fucking
candidate.
ears.
You can't call it a
before the
fluke election when they won the
where
presidency,
every
they won the House, they won the
lost
Senate, they have the
worldwide.
fucking Supreme
You're acting
Court.
and you're extrapolating. It's like people extrapolating the win Mamdani got against Cuomo as what the Democratic Party should do as a whole. It's fucking stupid. It's fucking retarded. Okay, there are various factors in that election that does not mean that makes it silly to extrapolate out further from that. Again,
We don't have to extrapolate. We have to look at the guy who won in 2024 was the guy who said the 2020 election was rigged, among 50 other horrible fucking things.
Because he ran a uniquely bad campaign.
Who,
But it's
Biden
also because
or
he
Kamala?
felt like he was,
Kamala
but it's
did.
also because he
No, I
felt like he
understand.
was protected from all the consequences of his actions.
But like, come on. Like, I understand Kamala run a substandard campaign, but
It's not
if
just
you're
that.
I don't even
if you're
blame her.
against Trump, it should be a landslide. That
Should
is
be.
the state of the country. That is the state of the country, is that we can't accept. We have to accept the fact that it wasn't a
You
landslide.
can talk
And
about
I
what
agree with
should
Wick.
be
I don't
all
think
the- all
Kamala
the
should have
day.
ran.
I'll
I
talk
think
about
Biden should have
is.
ran again because he's my god, he's my king. But
Yeah, I know
digress.
you're Biden a dick rider, right? He's a little incompetent. Or not,
I got
impotent,
more. I got more super chats. We can,
Excuse me.
The
I'm sure this
biggest-
will continue. $5 from Old School to say the next party to take the White House and not use the government to go after their political enemies will govern for the next 2 decades. Okay, I'm out.
no. What did Biden do to go after his political enemies? Look at that fucking
Just
retard.
fucking,
No.
just fucking
I
Pam
disagree with
Bondi
that.
behind the
I
keyboard.
disagree with
Just
that.
please,
Yeah.
please, please.
$2
Yeah,
to
100%.
Esther
That's
Johnson
Pam
to
Bondi.
say-
Like, it's fucking.
to say this is gay, Destiny is gay. Thank you for the
That guy's gay.
$2.
The guy who just donated before, I'm going to do this more sibling analogy. It's like when you hit your sibling over and over again, you go, oh, no. When they go to hit you back, you're like, no, don't do it. It's so stupid. It's like somebody breaking into my house and I go to break into somebody's house. I go to break into somebody's house and I tell my friend, watch this. I bet when I go in here and try to take all the shit, I bet he's going to fucking hit me because he's a fucking lunatic. And then you go in and steal all his shit and he fucking hits you. And you're like, oh, what did I tell you? But he wouldn't hit me. He would sit there and watch me steal his shit like a cuck because Wick would be like, don't hit him because you're going to prove him exactly right.
No, I would call the cops and get you arrested. That's what I would do.
Oh, what about if the
I
cops
knew
are the
he
one
was
robbing
gonna
you?
call the
What if
cops.
No,
Oh,
he go.
what if
Yeah,
the
I knew he was going to call the cops.
No, no, wait, that's fine. What if the cops are the one robbing you, Wick?
Well, what if the cops are the ones robbing? Then you're gonna get robbed. Actually, funny story. My
No,
my mom.
stop. No,
the
funny
cops
story.
stole
Answer the
my
question.
laptop.
Because Donald Trump is the head of the executive branch, which has the DOJ and the FBI. He is the cops. He's the executive. So what do you do when the cops are robbing you? It's a serious question because it's a one-to-one analogy with where Trump occupies the
Sure.
government.
If you think that the cops are being run by a corrupt sheriff, I'm not sure how cops and that works. Counterpoints could probably speak to this more.
Sure.
What you do is you elect a different sheriff. That's how you fix the fucking problem.
I'm all for electing a different sheriff.
Okay, great. Let me keep reading these.
Or
$10
what
from
if?
Triple
What
One.
if? What if everyone's like, no, I'm kind of on board with Wick getting stolen from all this time.
Okay.
King.
Well, then you have a bigger problem, don't
That's
you?
democracy.
We do
bitch.
have a bigger problem. I agree with you.
What if the sheriff's already stolen a ton of shit from you and then he loses the next election and you're like, can I get my shit back? And people are like, you can't go and rob him now. That would set a bad precedent.
Hold on. If they said, hey, if we go after this, there's a 99% chance this guy's going to win again or someone like him's going to win again. You know
No, but
what?
that's-
I'm going to take the loss.
Then
No,
you know
but it's
what?
just some
I-
fucking
now
random
you
bum.
my future
It's just a
more
guy
than
saying
my past.
99%. It's
Hold
not
on, I
any
value
like
my future
political
more than my past.
analysis.
I'd rather
value my
die
life
on my feet
more than my
than
senses.
live on my knees. Okay, that's how it works. We're America. The tree
Well,
of
you ain't gonna
liberty
live
is
at all. You're gonna be in
thirsty.
the ground,
Okay,
brother.
Okay, yeah, as opposed to right now, the slow path we're descending into chaos for the past
I'm
3
giving you a
decades.
solution to get out of that path.
What is the
you're
solution
giving
that's
us
different than what we
is
did
a
before? What's the solution? Wait,
recipe
what's the
for
solution?
that
What's the solution? What's the
slow
solution? Wait, what was the
dissolution of the
solution?
country.
What was the solution?
What is the solution is to be fucking normal, win elections, and then we don't have to worry about a future
Normal, like
Trump.
Obama was
Ignore
normal.
the
We've
fact-
done
Wait,
is
was
we've
Obama normal?
showcased
Was
the-
Obama normal? Was Obama normal?
Yeah, pretty much.
How the fuck did we get Trump after Obama?
That's
Because he was
Holy
black.
Shit! Holy shit!
Because he was black, obviously.
That's a great
No.
question.
We got that because of the Iraq War, because
That
all
Obama
the-
started?
Is this thing on? Obama was normal, but he was black, obviously.
No, we all agree, but
Yeah,
then
okay.
but what's the
But
suggestion?
there's a
then?
whole host of factors.
How do we prevent
here.
Trumps in the future?
How do we prevent?
like
Not
that.
a-
Don't,
not a, like,
don't
black
run a
president.
90-year-old who's on the
Not like
verge of death.
radicals like Obama, not radical communists. I spent 8 years of my life listening to these subhuman, degenerate demon fucks saying that Obama was a radical socialist communist. Okay, the guy who couldn't even get a public option passed the fucking healthcare was a radical social communist, and we got Trump after that. Like, this is insane. It's insane. It's insanity. It doesn't get more normal than Obama was boringly normal. Okay.
It's true. And you know what? He won both.
I
of
mean,
his
for
terms.
Yeah, but then
American president,
he set up
for American president,
Trump-
right? Because you just commit war crimes if you're American
And
president.
then
That's
you
like
ran
the-
a
Crime.
that's like the
90-year-old
basic
I'll
whose
deal with
brain
you
was
later.
leaking out of his
Hell.
ears.
Hey, yo, deal with me now
$10.
because, like, yeah, that's what
10.
American presidents fucking do.
Obama shouldn't be
$10.
committing war crimes. He should be based like Hamas and go rape a bunch of people and then have people like Prime in the West defended. Behaves, kings,
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
king rapists.
again, yeah. Don't worry. Keep trying to distract, right? You have to change the subject because you know you can't.
I'm not changing the subject. I'm talking about Hamas.
Wait, that
I
was
think they're
your-
based.
what you're doing, right? You're not advocating for justice here. Like Steven's not looking for justice because if he was, then he would.
We're gonna be more just than raped Israelis. I thought that's what you
yes,
love.
Prime. He would said yes, Prime. Of course, like any president, right? With a D or R in front of their name, of course we'd prosecute them. Of course we'd go back and look at whatever crimes they're doing, right? But no, he had to obfuscate. He had to distract. He had to do everything he can, right, to move the subject off his partisans' daddies, right? Like he is here for the Democrats. That's all he's here for, right? So he's not actually looking for a system that would actually hold a party to account, right? Because that system would only
Okay, can I
work
re-rail us?
if they understood
In a second,
that it was legal, justifiable, and blind. But it's not blind for Stephen, right? He only wants to attack
read my super
Republicans,
chat.
not his daddy.
I'm gonna read my super chats and you can re-rail us if all you like, Staxiums.
Great,
$10
thank
from
you.
the Trib One to say thinking the liberal Dems wouldn't have more people and munitions behind them is insane. The Civil War wouldn't just be fought by Americans. Neighboring countries would also join. It's Trump versus USA and its allies. Thank you for the $10. $5 from the Darwina. Do you think these crusty ass conservatives are going to do anything in a civil war? They get asked their pronouns and they piss themselves crying. $2 from Psychor to say yes, but Obama wore a tan suit. Thank you. $20 from Mr. Wise Guys. Wick, you deserve this $20 for putting on display how unhinged the Trump derangement and Trump deranged Destiny's position on politics, specifically on Trump administration is. I love you, counterpoints, for not falling for Destiny's gaslighting.
Who donated that? What was that guy's name?
Mr. Wise Guys plays.
What's his address and full name and social security number? I'm coming after that guy.
That's we disavow. Okay. Thank you for the 20 gifted memberships from Isaac's Text and Trib One. Thank you for the 10 gift memberships. Trib One says, I got candy and someone else got a candy bar from the store. I went to the register to buy it and the other person didn't. Is it the same Prime?
What?
$5. It's only $5, so you don't have to answer. Is anyone even questioned how these speedboats are being identified? Like, what makes a drug speedboat any different than a family outing speedboat?
Probably a bunch of 55-gallon drums lined up horizontally 4 abreast across the entirety of the ship.
Damn, if only we could have arrested the boats and then found out what was on them.
No, we
Probably
didn't.
shitloads
We
of
detained
drugs.
them, then we released
Listen,
That was
I don't think
a
drug
bad
trafficking
save.
should have a death sentence, but I also think
Yeah.
that those...
Also,
They're
Trump did
probably-
provide evidence. I think he said that when they blew the boats up, you could see the fent dust, I think.
Based.
I heard him say that.
I don't know.
Yeah, some soldiers a few miles away, right? Like when a seizure, right? When a fentanyl seizure.
Real Serious for 100 ARS says, I feel like there's a fundamental disagreement on whether the U.S. should be able to unalive people on foreign soil for purposes of national security. That's true. $5 from Cameraman 502 to say, is a vote for Trump in 2024 support for an insurrection that started and ended in 2021? Is support for executive orders in 2025 support for actions in 2021?
I think the obvious answer there is no. And just giving you guys a heads up, I do have a hard out at 8.
Okay, then
Heard.
I will read these after we get through closings then. But yeah, let's kind of at this point, I don't know how this isn't a serious conversation, unfortunately. I don't think these are serious proposals, but we'll get to closing statements and we'll see.
I just quick thing. I just want to say very quickly, fuck you, Wick. These are not serious proposals. The president of the United States is engaged in like 20 different scam schemes, things that are like unprecedented in all of fucking U.S. history. Okay. Number 2, the president of the United States is literally tweeting out, you guys all fucking raked me over the coals for saying, I think that we shouldn't disavow violence, blah, blah, blah. And then the president of the United States this morning is retweeting people saying we should execute congressmen. So if you think that my rhetoric is extreme or the actions I'm suggesting are extreme, they are extreme. You know what else is extreme? The fucking Civil War. And it was started for arguably less shit than this. It's fucking crazy. This guy is killing people in foreign countries. He's scamming all of fucking America. He's engaged in global trade policy. The whole fucking Congress on the Republican side has advocated all their responsibilities. He's arguably protecting himself as a fucking child rapist. And he's rigging the whole fucking DOJ and Congress against everything else in order to do it. The idea that like, well, I think it's actually kind of crazy that you're saying that, like, you know, they shouldn't be allowed to, like, hold on.
Look,
that's fucking wild. If this was on the Republican side, they would never have this conversation. They would say, how do we make it happen? How many of these motherfuckers can we bar from running again? They're using the term seditious conspiracy, which would bar you from ever running for office again. And they've said seditious conspiracy for like 2 years, in my opinion.
Yeah, and they're going to lose. I think that when it comes to what Trump is saying, this kind of rhetoric is why he's going to lose in 2026. If we want
I said the same thing in 2021.
We want him not to
I said the
lose.
same thing in
He just
2016.
keep doing what he's doing,
And who comes
and
next?
you will give him all the ammo he needs to stay.
He already has the ammo. Who comes next?
Yeah.
Who's
He's
after
got the
Trump?
whole
What do we
fucking
think-
Senate, House of
Let's give it to Prime. Let's give it to Prime, and then we'll give it to Counterpoints, and then we'll give it to Staxiums. Go ahead, Prime.
Oh, is this an outro or is this like
Yeah,
me
it's an
yelling at
outro.
you? Oh, okay. Well, Wick, it was dumb shit. Like his like Trump's actual extremist rhetoric got him into office the first time, right? And then got him to office the second time, and has like increased his popularity all along the way. So no, like him saying, "Hey, well, we should hang politicians," right? No, it's just another pebble, right? Another stone down the path to hell. But like it doesn't matter. Like it'll end up in the same place. So whatever. Anyway, which way? I think Stephen was bullshitting us. I think that even if he thinks this is a serious proposition, right? There's parts of it I can agree with, certainly, right? But I simply had the reasonable ask of saying, hey, why don't we apply this to all presidents, right? No matter what their crime. It's true, right? Because Stephen will try to distract you. That's what he does, right? That maybe Trump's crimes are greater than other crimes, right? That Biden did or Obama did or down the line, or maybe Clinton as well, right? His crimes may be greater, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't have crimes or trials for the other ones, right? If they committed a crime, then they should do the time, correct? Right? Like if we are saying that we're trying to create a system of justice, that justice has to be blind. It has to be blind to political parties. But Stephen isn't, right? This is a partisan witch hunt from his end. Now, Staxiums, from what little we heard of him, right? Staxiums seems to be it's not an insult. Staxium seems to be trying to actually put something forward that might be useful. Yeah, we should have accountability, right, for office holders. That should be the case. Clearing out half of the politicians, right? Because we said like, well, at a certain point in time, you hadn't reprimanded, right? You hadn't separated yourself from the previous dictator, right? Setting such an arbitrary example, right, doesn't mean that. Sorry, I've lost my train of thought here. This is all bullshit, all right? I lost my train of thought, so I apologize. In any case.
Do you mind if I just hit it?
Yeah, counterpoints. Yeah, I know you need to go, so just real quick.
Okay.
I
want to finish my thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so effectively, like, listen, again, in an ideal world, I would load Donald Trump up into a trebuchet. I would fire him into the Atlantic Ocean without a life preserver. That's not going to happen. So failing that, you know, we're kind of talking about like political pragmatism. When it comes to being politically pragmatic, I think this is the antithesis of pragmatism. If you want it to be a marketing strategy in which you rally the Democrats to get excited about justice and this, that, the other, that way you get them excited for midterms so we can throw this guy out on his ass. Awesome. If this is legitimately a perspective, I think it's kind of dumb as fuck. I think that it stands a snowball's chance in hell. I don't think that it's going to really do anything. And I'm actually with Wick with the fact that you're effectively giving these people some martyrs complex. I don't agree with your analogies. I think that when it comes to people, so for instance, you're saying, oh, you want me to get cuckolded? You want me to just steal somebody's shit? Well, guess what? He can steal your shit. He's the fucking president of the United States. He has some degree of executive authority. And unless you have the ability to overcome the pardon, or if you have the ability to overcome the impeachment process, or if you have the ability to overcome the criminal process, you're fucked. So the question is, once somebody steals your bike and it's already stolen and you can't get it back, do you worry about getting justice for your bike, even though it's not going to do shit? Or do you focus on working so you can get another bike? And that's what I would say. It's politically unproductive. It's kind of dumb, but it was fun. So I parasocial love you guys. I think I'm going to see Steven next week. So parasocial love. Blah. Bye to all you guys. See you in a bit.
Love you.
Love you too.
Love you
friend.
too. All right. It's actually a StreamYard link. I do want to read your guys' super chats, but I think they're already kind of like waiting on me or whatever. So I'm gonna click on StreamYard and just see if they're already there. Oh God, this is annoying. Continue. I'm gonna see if it like logs me out and logs me in. If you got it might cancel the other one. So okay, so I can stream it to your audience. Okay, stream is going to end. We had 120 people at the peak. We still have 100 people right now. Patriarch, thank you for the 10 gifted memberships. Fell Runner, thank you for the 5. Dumpster Buzzard, thank you for renewing your membership. Fell Runner, thank you for the 2. Michael Hotch, thank you for the 5. Patriarch, thank you for the other 10 gifted Valor Media Network memberships. Deeply appreciated. Thank you for oiling on the channel. Big Leafy Tree for 7. Bribe to look at my psycher to political power analogy in chat. Okay. Send it to me on Discord. But anyways, I parasocially love you guys. I'm going to end the stream here, and then I'm going to start a new stream in the next couple of minutes. It's going to be Christian nationalism versus Andrew Wilson.